Hi. Hello, hello. I like how I managed to actually somewhat time it along with the end of the song there. That made me quite happy. Hello. Hello, hello. Who is here? Who is here? Let's have a look. Who is here? Let's find out. Let's find out. Hello, Orishiro. Hello, Prismatic Pixie. Hi, Maple. Hi. How are you? Hello, Hunter. Hi, hi. Hi, Bobo. I will come back and read the actual messages in a minute. Hang on. Hello, Nightmind. Hi. Hello, Astral. Who else is here? Hosmod, of course. Hello. Hello, hello. Hi, Well Max Plays. Hello. Hello, Seon. Hello, Roraku. Hello, Doc Rect. Hi.
Finally streaming in a way that's compatible
hello,
with my
Flockia,
time zone.
and hello, Yoavko. Hi. Thank you so much for the resubscribe. I really appreciate it. 7 months already. Goodness gracious. Thank you for renewing your lab contract. It is time to do some research. Yes, yes. Okay, so let's see. Where are we? What's going on? What's going on? And also, hello, Galaguru. Hello, hello. I hope you're good too. Hello. Okay, who is it? This is too loud. My music is too loud. I cannot hear myself think. I don't know what is happening. Hello. Finished editing the health misinformation section of the soybean video on my day off from the lab for Juneteenth. Probably gonna go back to recording audio after this. Let's go. I'm hyped for that. I'm hyped for that because this is something that I see a lot of, and I want to learn more about it, and I'm very excited for that actually. Mum's cat attacked my younger sister's daughter. The cat is fine. Sister and daughter are fine. But my mum thought that throwing her phone at the cat was a good way to separate them, so now she's using my father's old phone. My dad bought a new phone for himself. That is certainly a way to try and get a cat to not attack things. That seems not like the most effective method, to be honest. I'm not sure that that's the method I would personally use. I'm not gonna lie. And since you're the tech support, you're backing up the phone. Oh, no. No. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. What a mess. What a mess. Welcome to the ASMR paper reading stream. We are not doing ASMR. We're not doing ASMR today. We're not doing that. There will be a noticeable lack of ASMR in this stream. Thank you very much. Yes, it is. The intro song is indeed the same song on loop, but then I stop the loop when it actually, finishes being the starting soon screen. It's logical in my head, okay? It makes sense in my head. I don't know if it actually makes sense. Just popping in for a hi. I have a personal interview round tomorrow, so I have to get good sleep. Good luck, Wild Max Plays. Good luck. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. We're all cheering you on. You can do it. You will smash that interview. You can do it. Yeah, good luck. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna say this up front. If there's like a noticeable difference in how my model looks, my face tracking, something like that, please say. And if it's something that you don't like, please especially say. Because I need to know. Because I may have made some tweaks and stuff and things, yes. So let me know if you see something that doesn't look right. Or text the British Transport Police on 61016 to say it's sorted. There's two options, but I would prefer the former, to be honest. It's more appropriate for the stream. Dairy-free Rin Penrose. I am a dairy-free alternative to Rin Penrose. You're so right. You're so right. 100% more science. Wait, no. How much science? Actually, Rin Penrose did I think I remember Rin Penrose doing like an A-level psychology paper on stream once. So I guess there is technically like 1% science in Rin's streams, perhaps. Oh dear. Being the family tech support is the worst. I can imagine. I feel bad for Husmod because he's my tech support. Yeah. Did we not go over that paper already? We went over the introduction and methods in a large amount of detail, and we are going to go over the results section this time. I was putting it off and taking a long time because I feel very, very uncomfortable and not ready to read this results section because there are many numbers and I am not I am not personally one with numbers. I do not intersperse myself with the numbers particularly well, but we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best. We're going to do our best. Freerun, what? Hi? What? What, Freerun? What did I say? What did I say? It has a delay. Oh. Does it actually have a delay? Is it less? Is it less synchronous? If I speak really slowly, you might be able to see it more. I think I can kind of see what you mean. I might need to fix that. Okay. Okay, I see. Can anyone else see it? Can anyone else see a delay? Also, hi, Isekai. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome into the research participant pool. I hope you're ready to take part in some research. And also, hi, Spooky Bun. Hi. Thank you for the lab situation check in. Thank you. You said dairy-free Rin Penrose. Dairy-free alternative to Rin Penrose. Yes, that's me. You said dairy. Oh, you said dairy-free Ren. Okay. Dairy-free Ren. Okay, I see. It's my words all merging together because I am British and unable to talk. Classic. I do enjoy looking at the slightly changed titles that all say the same thing. Maybe I should put like results at the front. Just aggressively. Results. I'm gonna do it. Result. I can't spell. Results. The result being we finally got to the results section. There you go. Are you happy now? I feel like that is a distinguishable title. The remaining 1% is mostly at my job. I see. Oh, wait. You've demonstrated better tech skills than 99% of my social circle. That's valid. We support autistic elves here. Heck yeah. I don't know. Okay, question. Does Freerun display autistic traits? And if yes, were they displayed throughout her entire developmental cycle? And if yes, how on earth would you measure that? Because that gets really interesting because the developmental assessment for autism assumes that you have like a short developmental period that can like be assessed fairly easily with like people's like subjective assessment. I'm saying assessment too much. Like basically one of the things they do is like a structured interview with people that knew you while you were growing up. So like how would that work for Freerun? How would that work for an elf with a really long lifespan? How would it work? I don't know if it would. I see no delay. I can see a delay if I look, or I can trick myself into seeing a delay. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, ma. No, I think there's no delay. I think there isn't a delay. I can't see one. At least no more than it used to be. There shouldn't be a delay anyway. That's not the thing that I was expecting. You can't see a delay? Okay. Yeah, that's not the thing that I was expecting to see. The thing that I was expecting might be a problem would be like my eyes closing more. Like I have better control over this now. Have you noticed? Now I can look evil. Your neck looks longer. That's entirely made up. It is no longer. The model has not changed. That's not a thing. I swear that's not a thing. No, I'm looking at a picture of my model from the last stream. That's not a thing. This is interesting. This in itself is like, tell people that something that they look at a lot has changed. And then they start like trying to like reverse engineer what exactly it is that's the difference. That's quite funny. We assume she is diagnosed late in life. Yeah, but then like she can't get a diagnosis late in life because there's no one to corroborate the diagnosis. This is the problem. Is Freerun autistic, way too old, or just an elf? Why not all of the above? They're not mutually exclusive, you know? Depends on how their developmental stages work. This is also true. We don't know the specifics of elf development. This is very, very true. Very, very true. Hello, doodle-dee-doo, and said Victor, thank you for the lab so fresh check-ins. I hope you're good. I hope you're good. Giraffe Dere. No, my neck is no longer. My neck is no longer. With Freeren's version of Elf, some of them are older than the entirety of human history, and some of them are teenagers at like tens of thousands of years, so I guess good luck. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's not possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. It's not neck longer, it's the posture. Psydere simply isn't shrimping right now. Okay, actually, unironically, like the location of my webcam has changed. So it might be that my face is just like higher up than normal. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Hello, not the brain. Hi. How are you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're good. Enjoy the lurk, Orishiro. Enjoy the lurk. I don't know why it didn't work though. That's a bit weird. The bot has just decided to not today. The bot will not. Also, Dorgmas, did I say hello to you yet? I don't know if I did. Hello. I hope you're good. How is everybody, by the way? How are we all doing today? I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. But what I will do is do this. Wait, what am I doing? I'm doing this. There we go. Now it looks like I'm not in the wrong category. Now I won't get told off. There we go. This is good. This is science. This is science. What we're doing is science, I swear. Hello, Astro Axel. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Welcome into the lab. I hope you're ready to take part in some research. I'm going to research you. You've just signed the consent form. Okay, we don't even know enough about elf brains to say if autism even works as a diagnosis. This is extremely true. This is extremely true. They might have different brain structure. Although, like, given that they're humanoid, I wouldn't be surprised if they've got similar brain structure to us. Like, they must at least... No, they might not be mammalian, though. There are many questions arising from this, and I do not know how to begin to answer them. It's not possible, or it's just impractical to spend tens of generations observing. I mean, both. Because if we're assuming that it's like, you know, free run time and they keep everything on scrolls, then there is a non-zero probability of you losing a large chunk of your data set just from like aging. So yeah, even if you were keeping it digitally, there's still a risk of losing it and like aging or like, I don't know, like quantum fluctuations, just like degrading your hard drive or whatever. Is my dog autistic because he loves horses and can't read social cues from other dogs? I don't know. Do dogs get autism? Surely they must do. Surely it must be like a pan-mammalian phenomenon. Surely. Yeah. Enjoying my first day of surgery recovery. Let's go! I hope you can recover quickly. Okay, you got the summer. Oh wait, are you an actual surgeon? Have I misprocessed that? If that's the case, then good lord, I am not envying you. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Scientist VTuber, yeah! That's right. Scientist VTuber who's actually doing science. Welcome in. We love that. We love that. Feel like I'm watching Princess Bubblegum's sister. Wait till we actually get to the science. I've just been yapping. Wait till we actually get to the science. I'm not nearly as competent as Princess Bubblegum. I do actually, you know, have some qualifications though, so that's good. That's something. Between receiving and accepting the paper was nearly 2 years. Coincidentally, that's how long Psydere is taking to read this out too. That's just rude. There's no need for that behavior. It is true though. We've spent 2 streams on this already because I spent a whole stream just going through the intro, a whole stream going through the methods, and then hopefully we can get through the results and discussion today, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Carve your data into clay tablets. That's clearly the way. That's clearly the way. Okay, let's actually start doing some science. It's too hot. I feel that. Imagine how I feel right now I've got like my PC on. I've got like another source of the thing that's cooling, but it's also heating. I've got a light on me. I am distressed. I can't even open my window because it's like behind me. My window is behind me, so I can't open it because there would be outside noise. Like, I am suffering. I am suffering, but it's fine. We'll be fine. Hi, Dwarma Franks. Hi. Welcome. I hope you're good. Sounds like the premise to a chapter of Centaur's Worries. If we get to the science. We're getting to the science. Let's do the science. If you subscribe to the Bayesian brain hypothesis, then any social laugh species has individuals with the different variation on the weight that we make all. Yeah, that's very true. Oh, you got Yorkshire tea? Let's go. It's good. And most noticeable thing is the sachet size. Most commonly here we get 2 grams. Lipton has 1.6 and cheaper teas have 1.8. Yorkshire has 3 grams. Yeah, they're massive. They're so good. Honestly, Yorkshire tea, 10 out of 10. Always recommend. Okay, let's science. Let's do some science. I actually don't have any tea today, which is really sad. I've just got water because it's so hot. Let's do a science. Yeah, it's science time. Okay, so this paper by Justin Sulik and colleagues, it was published in Nature Human Behavior, which is a very, very high-ranking journal, in February 2025. So it's fairly recent still. It's still fairly recent. They argue that, we are going to do the quick summary of the intro and the methods. They argue that there are differences between scientific fields in terms of the methodologies that people use and the way that they think about questions, right? The way they think about their research questions. So a social psychologist might look at a type of human interaction and go, oh, that could be because of culture. I wish to research it. And then somebody who is in evolutionary psychology might instead go, oh, that's definitely because of genes. How exciting. I'm going to research the genetics behind this. Or they might try and explain it in terms of like mating behaviors or like resource seeking or whatever. Something like, along evolutionary lines like that. Hello, very sweetie. Hi. I chose my subfield based on a desire not to be homeless. Checkmate researchers. Oh, I should have thought about that when I made my choice of subfield, but unfortunately I ended up in social psychology and yeah. Yeah. Better decisions could have been made. Anyway, all of the money at the minute, actually, to be fair, you can be a social psychologist and make good money at the minute if you're researching like human AI interaction. That's a very big area. So yeah. Psychology bachelor's to law school pipeline. See, that's the big brain. That is how you make the big money. Yes, very smart, very smart. To a person with a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Exactly. And to a person with evolutionary psychology in their background, everything looks like an evolutionary behavior. Oh, I don't move as much anymore. I may change that later. Or maybe it's for the better. Maybe I need to be contained. Okay. So they've argued in this paper, what if it is not just field differences? Because the obvious things that might explain these differences is like, it's just the way that people are trained. It's just the type of reading that they've done. If you've read a lot into a certain type of psychology, then you will probably, see more easily where the theories fit the data. It could also be professional networks. So it could be the type of people that you're actually, working with and talking to. Those are all possibilities. They influence what you're doing. Or what if it's your psychology? What if it is things like your personality or your tendency to process information in certain ways or your preference for complex problems versus simple solutions? What if it's those? What if you need to find answers? Or what if you're okay with ambiguity? What if all of these things? So that's the argument that they're building in this paper, is that they think that there might be a effect of your cognitive traits, like, your tolerance of ambiguity or your personality traits, or whether you like to have a closure on things rather than just allowing things to just vibe as they are, Those kinds of things. They're seeing whether that affects what field you go into. And they're also seeing if that maps into how you think about various controversial ideas in psychology. So for example, like, you know, if you've heard of like the nature nurture debate, basically stuff like that, you know, where do you fall on that spectrum? Do you fall at one of the extremes? If so, could that be because of your psychology? Who knows? Who knows? So that's what they're arguing in this paper. Now, there has been a bit of previous research on this topic. There's been papers that have looked into differences between like broader classifications of like science versus humanities normally. And there have also been papers that have tried to look at how politics like political beliefs feeds into the type of psychology that you research. Politics apparently didn't, like, I haven't read that paper, but apparently it was mostly no results. The differences between different like broad classifications of fields, as in like STEM versus humanities, which by the way, I think is a very, very silly classification because all of it is analytical. It's just analytical in different ways, but that's a argument for another time. But they were like, okay, so what if maybe you're better at certain skills, then that explains why you prefer certain fields. So if you're more kind of like, you know, numbers orientated, you like analytical thinking, then perhaps you prefer like quote unquote hard STEM. Whereas if you prefer more kind of like words or images or you're okay with ambiguity, then maybe that would explain why people prefer humanities. And there is a little bit of evidence around this. However, in the first stream, when we were going through this introduction section, we talked about how actually a lot of these factors are very, very gendered. So, for example, one of the things that they highlighted was that people in hard sciences, quote unquote, like physical sciences, tended to have higher systematizing quotients, while people that pursued humanities tended to have higher empathizing quotients. But there is a massive bias on that scale, and men tend to score higher on systematizing and women tend to score higher on empathizing. So, and there's also more men in physical science, and there's more women in humanities. So you can't really say like whether it's a cause or effect type of thing. Like it might be a product of the measure. You can't be certain on that because there's been a lot of people raising issues with those measures. Where do we get to? Yeah, but they haven't really looked as much within fields. So they thought, okay, psychology is kind of interesting because some subfields of psychology are like much more physical science, like natural sciences coded. Like if you do neuroscience, for example, then, you know, you're pretty much just doing biology on the brain. Whereas if you're doing like kind of qualitative research, maybe in like community psychology or in certain aspects of clinical psychology or in maybe even like social psychology, to be fair, then like, especially if you do like qualitative methods, then you're much more humanities coded. So they're arguing whether there's like a difference between these subfields in psychology, whether they can replicate the differences that they found before in relation to these subfields in psychology, so that they can see whether these traits do actually have an impact. Okay, now my preamble is over. That's the theoretical foundation of the paper. Are we all understanding? Are we all on board? I hope this makes sense. Also, hi Ed, how are you doing? How are you doing? Sorry, you came in while I was like on a proper, I was properly in the zone there. I apologize. How are you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're good. Speedrun it was indeed. I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you? Let's see. My anthropology professor on week 3 of class explaining the evolutionary basis for sexual attraction. I am an ass man. That's so valid. That's so valid. Oh. It could also be reversed. The field that you study influences your personality. Yeah, exactly right. They haven't managed to account for causality in this. They are kind of just doing the correlation, what if it is causation though thing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the reverse direction was literally not considered in that entire introduction, which is a bit wacky. So not sure what's going on there. Hi, oh dear Asta. Welcome in, welcome in. I hope you're good. I hope you're good. Greetings, greetings. The virgin neuroscientist versus the Chad dream interpreter. Oh my gosh. We need to make that a meme. We need to make that a meme. That is very funny. I'd also like to just bring up that my field is dominated by women, but we have a bunch of chemistry, stats, biology, and engineering. When they say which they like to say a dude's first fields, which is really weird. Yeah. So one of the things that I have seen for explaining part of the difference is that like men. So there's a theory. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just telling you that this is a thing. There's like a theory that men tend to prefer objects, as in inanimate objects, and women tend to prefer animate objects / humans. So like. So women would have a preference for like working with plants or animals or humans, and men would have a preference for working with, you know, like, I don't know, machines and computers, code, etc. Now, I'm not sure how much of that is just, again, the same inbuilt issues with the measures or with like social sorting or whatever. I'm not convinced on that idea, but yeah. I was about to say what's the causality in it. Yeah, exactly. They've kind of just made the argument. Like, to be fair, this might be in part because like Nature papers, you have a really, really short word count. So they might have just had to cut stuff out because of the word count. But I feel like not mentioning like, hey, yeah, this is like correlational is pretty bad, because there isn't really a way to verify that unless you do like a time series analysis, like a longitudinal study. So I'm not sure what to do with that. Like, it just completely got missed out. This paper is quantitative. I think there was a very small qualitative component, but as far as I saw, I don't think they've actually reported any of the results for that. So, but like all of the data for this should be open, I think. Oh, wait, did you? I can wink now. Huh? What? Okay. That's exciting. Sorry, I got distracted. I apologize. Yeah, this paper is quantitative. What about where do men who think women are objects fit in this? Oh god. They're probably no. Okay. I was gonna make a bad joke and I'm gonna stop myself. I'm controlling myself. I'm controlling myself. We're not bashing evolutionary psychology too much. I have friends that are evolutionary psychologists. I can't be discriminatory against them. Oh god. Okay. Moving on. Hi, Guy from Space, Texas. Welcome. What a great username. I love that. I do like machines. Me too, to be honest. This is a big flaw, right? This is a big flaw, is that like, well, okay, to be fair, the kind of vague theory is that it's a preference. It's not like a hard-coded, like, you know, women are only interested in people and animals and plants. Like, it's not hard-coded, because I also like machines. Like, I originally... Okay, when I was talking about my career path the other day, and I was like, yeah, medicine, and then dentistry, and then psychology. One thing I did miss out is that I very briefly considered like going into like computer science / like engineering of some sort. But like I didn't have much encouragement from my school. So but like I would have loved it because I'm much more that way inclined, and I research people because I find them interesting because I don't understand them, but I also find objects interesting and I also want to know more about them, and I also like creatures and plants. So it's just that like I ended up doing the people because that's what I'm best at. So, you know, I ended up researching the people, I should clarify. Researching the people. Independent eye movement. I know, it's very exciting. Hi, Tayu. Hi. How are you? I hope you're feeling a bit better. I like machines, but I also like plants and mice. So I throw them for a loop again. Exactly. I like all of the above. Where is the all of the above option? But yes, early computer programming was female dominated back when they thought programming was just a chore job even a secretary could do. Exactly, right? Exactly. I mean, we've seen this kind of thing, like there are undeniably gender dynamics around this kind of thing, right? You know, if you look at teaching also always used to be a male-dominated job. And then sometime around World War II, when they were like, sorry, we need all of the working age males. Maybe it was World War I, actually. But like one of the world wars, they were like, sorry, we require all of the working age males to come and do the fighting for us or work in factories. They kind of took everybody off and, you know, they made a lot of the teachers officers, and then they trained up a bunch of women to do it instead. And then it became female dominated. So, and now it's considered a caring profession. So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff changed in line with that too. It also became much worse paid, but I cry doing the people. I know, I'm sorry. It was normal, I swear. I meant it in a normal way, I promise. If you got discouraged out of computer dev, how many other young girls were discouraged too? Exactly, right? And like I was nerdy AF. Like most of my friends were dudes for a start. So like this wasn't even a like, oh, there's too many guys in the class, you won't get along with them. Like the entire computer science A-level class at my school was all my friends. I was friends with every single one of them. I'm still in a group chat with half of them to this day. Like, and yeah, I'm the only one that didn't go into that as a career. Well, actually, no, I think one of them didn't too. But like most of them went into it as a career because like the teaching was decent. And like, I just wasn't encouraged to do it because they were just like, oh, it doesn't really suit you. Wouldn't you rather be a doctor? I was like, no, but okay. And then they were like, oh, actually, you're not really right to be a doctor, are you? And then, yes, it all went downhill from there. Oh, dear. They must suffer so much seeing how their science gets abused, honestly. Yeah. To be honest, I know quite a few people who have had science that like they do science and it just gets entirely misinterpreted either by the public or by like journalists, sometimes on purpose, and it all just goes wrong. One person I know had like put out a study. It was something to do with prejudice. And then like the people that it reported on this study in this magazine, it's if you know like weird political academic stuff, you will know this magazine. I'm not going to say the name of it, but you know, any fellow scientists in chat may well know the one that I mean. It starts with a Q. So like this magazine, like they read this person's article, like their journal paper, and literally what they wrote in their magazine article was the opposite. They were like they claimed that I think they claimed something increased prejudice when it didn't, or something like that. And then like the person who wrote the original scientific article was like, hang on a second, that's not what I said. And then they like wrote a rebuttal to it, but then they like refused to publish it. And then eventually they did like a tiny little editor note at the bottom being like, oopsie, we got something really, really wrong, and it invalidated the entire magazine article. But by that point it was a month later and nobody was reading it anymore. So that was annoying. Yeah. Yeah. I saw a study that showed men were better engineers, but women who were good had access to boy toys like Legos or played 3D video games, implying it's a learned trait. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of evidence that points to that. And like, if you can set up somebody's social environment in the right way, then you'd be surprised by what they can do. Doing a little better? I'm glad, Tayo. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Caring or Karen? Caring profession. The name is Karen. They sound, yes, that's how they sound. Do people say Karen? Is that a thing? I guess Irish people kind of say that. They kind of say Karen sometimes. Yeah, I can see that. Imagine being a doctor. Are you a doctor? Is that why you're saying that? The research psych VTuber is a nerd. No, I can't believe it. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for ruining your perception of me. Clearly, everybody thought I was a highly functioning adult, but weaponization of science. It genuinely was. It genuinely was. You sounded evil for a minute. Is this new? I feel like I always sound a bit evil. I've been told in real life many, many times that my laugh is particularly evil when I sit there and I'm like, like people are like, oh, that sounds threatening. The feeling of power and dread when you see a topic you're very knowledgeable about being horribly misrepresented in the media. Honestly, it happens so much to me now because there's so many people that are talking about the psychology of conspiracy theories now, and like most of them don't actually know what they're talking about. And I kind of sit there and I'm like, stop talking, please. Please cease the talking. I do not like what you are saying. Please. Give scheming minion. I'm so offended. How dare you compare me to a minion? Oh no. Maybe I do give minion energy. Maybe I need to just accept this. Why is my music stopped? Hello? What? Oh, okay. That's why. There we go. I do indeed have that laugh. I do. There's a small scuffle going on in AI with an AI brain study showing that using AI has effects on the brain, except it has the same vibes as a study with the effect of Google on the brain, or even Plato complaining about writing. Yeah, I saw that one. I saw a summary of it on Twitter, and then I passed on the preprint of it to Husmod, and I was like, we should both read this and see what it says, because like I don't really... Like, Husmod will understand the, like, you know, the technical side of it better, and I will understand the psychology / neuroscience bit a bit better, and I feel like we will come together and work out what it actually says. But yeah, I'm not, like, I think they used, like, a measure of brain activation on an EEG to represent neural connectivity, and I'm not sure, I've never heard of doing that before, I'm not gonna lie. That might just be because I don't know much about EEG, like, it's not really a method I've ever used, but it's not really, I don't unless it was like activity, then that's fair enough. But when I read the abstract, that's not the vibe I got. I was like, huh? When I read the abstract, I was like, I'm confused by this actually. Conspiracy theorists not knowing what they're talking about. I'm shocked. Yeah, I know. Weirdly, it's not like the conspiracy theorists themselves normally though. It's like people that kind of enable them that tend to do it. So yeah, and actually sometimes it's also people that are opposed to it, like they're trying to stop people believing conspiracy theories, and they still get the research on this wrong, but it's because they didn't think to like ask a scientist that kind of knows about it. But then, to be fair, like it's a very dispersed field now. Like the niche of like the psychology of conspiracy theories is very, very dispersed. So yeah, it's quite hard to work out who's the actual like expert, I guess now. So everybody tends to default to like 4 people, which is fair enough. But I'm like, I want to go on TV. I really don't actually. I would rather not go on TV. I'm a VTuber for a reason. I did get invited on radio once, but then I got kicked off in favor of a politician, and that really annoyed me. So yeah, sad times. Sad times. Dream team, yeah, let's go. Hello, Zerkia, and hi, Potter. I hope you're both good. About the dread of people talking incorrect information in your field, I have these shorts about ingredients from... Yes, I love your shorts. Bobo does like shorts on like ingredients in food, because some of them have scary names, but they're actually completely normal. Like I remember you've got one on carrageenan, and I remember like a couple of years back there was like a massive thing about carrageenan and how it's just like evil and it gives you cancer or something, and I'm like, bros, it's literally just seaweed, chill. Like it's literally just seaweed. Oh, it's like 150 pages. I ain't reading all that. I ain't reading all that. I would love to see people take up the Plato writing as making the youth dumb and lazy position these days, solely because it would be very funny. I know, people don't write that much anymore, really, do they? Like, not physically on paper. I mean, I still do, because that's how I grew up and it's easier for me sometimes, but honestly, even most of the time I do stuff digitally now, so yeah. You realize how bad the media is once they start talking about something you work in, especially bad when they interview you and can't keep basic facts straight. Yeah, that's literally happened to me, and then I had to correct them, and then they were like, oh, okay, we just won't air it then. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. So yeah, there's like 2 times that I was meant to be on the radio, and then they just didn't air it. But I still put it on my CV because I still got asked. EEG is a measure of functional or effective neuroconnectivity as an established factors. Is it actually? I didn't know that. I thought it was just like activity. I didn't think it was actual like connectivity. That's interesting. I guess, to be fair, I guess you can approximate one from the other, right? Like if there's activity, then it's implying things are connected. So that's kind of obvious now that I say it out loud. Peak human is fully illiterate and incapable of communication, just pure unbridled human thought soup going on in the brain. That's like me. That's literally me at any given point. I'm not gonna lie. I sit here and I'm like, yeah, man, look at me. I'm a scientist. I'm doing science. And then my brain is like literally just playing like meme songs in my head, and I'm just staring off into space. Like that's me 24/7. Hi, Masek. Hi. How are you? Surely there's a conspiracy to hide all other conspiracies by criticizing them badly. Oh, genuinely, actually. There could be. I think, did my thing just go off? I apologize. I think my phone just went off. How dare you? I'm offended. I'm offended. Doing well. Traveled home for midsummer, but you're already reading the paper. I started summarizing the paper and then I got distracted. I hope your travel home went well, and I hope you enjoyed midsummer. I wish that was a thing here. We just have like long days, short nights, large amount of rain regardless. Okay, shall we actually, yeah, reading. Okay, let's actually do the reading. Let's do the yeah, we are technically on 0 words because I've just been summarizing. So, method. So, the method summary, very quickly, let's talk about the method. The method that they had was, where are we? Methods. They went through the Web of Science database index and found all of the psychology journal articles that are indexed there. And it gave them a bunch of email addresses. And then they emailed all of the email addresses. That's the way that they recruited people, on the basis that people, in theory, are scientists, and therefore they should have this email that is linked to the paper and stuff. Now, there were a few issues with this that we just talked about last time. It's a pretty good way to get like a really, really big sample, which is great. However, it did result in a somewhat skewed sample. You can even see it in like the modal age, and also the fact that there's like more men than women. Those two things reflect the fact that the amount of like later stage researchers was massively, massively imbalanced. Like in any kind of study like this, if you have a representative sample of academics, then you will have the biggest group will be grad students. It will always be grad students because there's just like multiple grad students for every professor, okay? And then a smaller group than that, but still pretty big, would be the postdocs and like, you know, early stage like lecturers and assistant professors and stuff like that. And then the smallest group will be the established researchers who are, you know, the professors, the readers. I don't know what the equivalent is in, ouch. I don't know what the equivalent is in the US, but yeah, like senior lecturers, stuff like that. But yeah, that was like literally the opposite of what they had. They had a bar graph somewhere. There we go. If I come down here, like you can see the biggest age is 30s, 40s, 50s. Like this kind of grouping is the biggest. 20s is very, very small, which like if you're capturing a good number of grad students, you would not expect that. You would expect a lot more people in their 20s. And then if you look down here, this is like the really, really damning figure here, to be honest, this one. Yeah, they have so many senior faculty, and they have substantially less junior faculty, and they have substantially less postdocs, and the grad students and research assistants are basically non-existent. This is the opposite of the pyramid that we would expect to see. So TLDR, because they relied on the emails attached to published papers, basically senior authors are more likely to be corresponding. They're more likely to have their email address on the paper. And that means that, unfortunately, they're massively overrepresented in the sample. So we can't really say that this is a study of academics. What we can say is that this is a study of senior psychology researchers. This doesn't necessarily match the current grad students. TLDR side hates old people. It's not true. Thank you very much. I love everybody regardless of their age, actually. They just do not represent us. Oh dear. But yeah, they got about 8,000 respondents, which is really, really good. But yeah, it's a biased sample. So we need to be aware of that when we're looking at the results. Partially because, to be honest, like there may well be evidence that's come out in recent years that like sometimes senior faculty might not be entirely on top of, whereas maybe grad students would be. On the flip side, like grad students might have more malleable opinions on controversial topics, and they might also be more interdisciplinary at that point, at least, or they might also be more siloed, who knows. But you know, chances are they're mingling with a wider range of people on a wider range of fields. So yeah. Then they gave people a whole bunch of questionnaires. Basically, instead of one of the things also that I'm finding a problem with is this paper. I'm sorry, I'm being so rude, but I'm reviewer toing them. I'm sorry. But they did self-report measures rather than actually giving tasks. So when I say that, I mean like people looked down a questionnaire about their cognitive traits and they answered questions about them rather than actually doing the tasks that measure the cognitive traits. Now, there's pros and cons to that. The main pro being that it's a lot faster, so it's more likely that academics are actually going to do it without dropping out the survey. But it means that we can't actually make any solid conclusions about whether the traits themselves directly correlate with their research preferences. What we can say is that their perceptions of their traits correlate with their research preferences. Which might sound like it's the same thing, but it isn't, because people are not always great at understanding their own thoughts. Arguably, psychologists would be a bit better at this, potentially, because sometimes we are trained in how to like do introspection, but it very much depends on the field that you're in, like the subfield. So like I was taught how to do that because as part of my work, I had to write like positionality statements and reflexivity journals and stuff like that, because I do mixed methods. But if somebody is like in hardcore neuroscience and they do everything quantitatively and they don't ever even stop and think about that, like they might not even necessarily know what their traits are. It's just kind of a vibe. So yeah. Also, to be fair, cognitive psychologists probably already know where they score on various things because they normally have to do it as part of their training. Like they have to do the tasks. So I can also kind of see an argument for like not giving the tasks themselves on the basis of like there's confounds because they already know how they work, but I'm still not convinced. I feel like it would have been more accurate to just actually give them the tasks. And then what they did was they matched up the survey responses. They also measured how people responded on that controversial topic scale. So like, you know, nature versus nurture, where do you feel on that fall on that spectrum? And then they matched that up, the whole questionnaire, with bibliometrics, which is basically like what papers you publish, who you publish them with, what kind of journals you publish them in, stuff like that. Which is the bit that I'm most interested in because I don't really know much about how that works. It seems like they literally just like basically make connections between different papers. There is also still, unfortunately, a bit of an issue with that one still, because they have double counted people, I think. So they matched up that they assumed that people were authors were the same author across multiple papers if the first name, surname, and institution was all the same across all of the papers. The problem with that being that lots of people in fact, the majority of people move institutions between different publications. Even I've already done this. Like I will have one publication under my like PhD university, and I will have a second publication under my current job. Like, and which one is me? They're both me, but they wouldn't be matched up in this model. So that's also an issue. I think that people that have been able to move around are probably going to be overrepresented again. And I say again because they tend to be senior researchers. Like people that are senior researchers are more likely to have moved around beforehand. So they're going to be overweighted in the bibliometric model as well as being overweighted in the survey. So yeah, not convinced on that one, Chief. But, you know, we'll see how the results look. We can actually get to the results now, which is very exciting. Unfortunately, there is an ad. There's about to be an ad, so I apologize. I will start doing the results section after the ad is done. We will get through that now. I'll catch up with chat. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, I was yapping, but Let's see. Doing science, then blam, I can wink, honestly. What can I say? I'm just I'm so excited by it. It's so fun. That's why she does science communication with an Adventure Time avatar. It's true. It's because I only want to like interact with younger people. Just kidding. A lot of Adventure Time fans are in their 30s and 40s now. Oh dear. Hi Guns. Hi. How are you doing? I hope you're good. I guess you could make the point that senior researchers are more influential and therefore their sample better reflects the direction of the field as a whole. There's also that too. Yeah, that is also a possibility. Yeah. It's very, very true. Like, I guess I don't think they were looking at citations or anything. That would be a biggest risk in terms of citation. I think, honestly, the biggest place where that will be a problem is probably with the co-authorship model that they're doing. Because they're doing like a network model where they compare co-authors. So like how people's social networks link up. This is why I'm saying like there's a risk that like they're going to be overweighted in the network model, is because like they're going to be connected to the same people potentially on multiple points, which isn't ideal. But I guess they were just kind of hoping that it would not happen enough for it to be an issue. Yeah. Hi, Erin. Hi. I hope you're good. You'd think they'd be able to pull their orchids. That's what I was thinking too. I don't know why they didn't match them by orchids. That seems like a real like obvious thing to do. And I don't know why they didn't do it. Because like they have their own orchids listed on this paper, so they know it's a thing. Maybe it was just too difficult to do. Also, I guess not every journal has orchids embedded, so it would filter out a whole bunch of the papers. But I feel like that's something that you should do to promote the accuracy of it. Like, I don't know. Not convinced. Hi Shinsta, I hope you're good. Thank you for the lab safety register check-in. Let's see, I need to drink some water, hang on. Waiting for the study comparing self-awareness in psychology researchers versus the general population. Honestly, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not that different, because there's been some studies that are like checking the wisdom of the crowd, seeing like how psychologists' predictions of like how studies will replicate compare with non-psychologists' predictions of how studies will replicate. And I ain't gonna lie, Chief, we don't do so good. We ain't doing so great. We're kind of not really above chance levels, to be honest. Sometimes the wisdom of the crowd is better than us, brother. Oh dear. Terrible stuff. Even if they did find a correlation between perceptions and actual abilities, it wouldn't make this study show a correlation between the actual abilities and the thing. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, X being correlated with Y plus X being correlated with Z does not mean Y is correlated with Z. Exactly. So, yeah, there's just, I don't know. I feel like there's some... It's one of those papers where I'm like, this is a really interesting concept. And I think this is a really, really good first attempt at researching this concept. But I think that they got into nature because it's nature human behavior. I think they got into nature human behavior because the sample size is really, really big. So the stats are going to be robust. That I don't think that undoes the like inherent limitations. I'm hoping that they will acknowledge the limitations in the conclusion section. I'm hoping and praying. We'll see. 0 words per minute. I know, I'm getting there. I'm sorry. Just had some midnight noms filling out your job application. You can do it. And I hope you enjoyed your midnight noms. Yes. Right. Where are we? We're here. Okay. So, results. We're doing it. We're reading. Get ready for all of the words per minute, all in one go. So, results. Descriptive overview. Extended data figure 1 shows an overview of respondents' demographics and research interests. Yeah, we looked at that before. We're not going to go over that again. The modal rank was senior faculty. The 3 most common areas of study among respondents were cognitive psychology, clinical or abnormal or health psychology, and social psychology. The 3 most common research methods were surveys, behavioral experiments with typical adults, and interviews. For topics of there's actually quite a high representation of qualitative researchers then. That's interesting. Okay. For topics of study, we excluded keywords entered by 10 or fewer respondents and grouped rarer topics with more common ones. For example, respondents who studied group processes or group relations both appear under group. Responses covered a diverse range of topics. For instance, extended data figure 1 shows that the topics parenting, eating, speech, leadership, and media almost include 100 participants each. Although we cannot be certain that our sample is representative of academic psychology, our sample covers a wide range of research areas, topics, methods, and demographic groups. Well, as I've said before, it definitely isn't representative because of the skew towards senior researchers. But like I said, it's also pretty big, and there's a decent amount of diversity in it, I think. For all 16 themes, as described in extended data figure 1, or data table 1 even. Oh, there's a table and a figure, exciting. Some respondents endorsed positions at both extremes. Some themes showed that a degree of consensus. For example, most respondents thought that the Homo economicus conception of human self-interested rationality is a poor model for human behavior. So the mean response was 27.7, and the standard deviation was 24.3. And they agreed that human behavior should be studied with reference to people's social environment, which had a mean response of 74.1 and a standard deviation of 22.4. Yeah. Hello, Strawberry Shortcake. That's a very, very cute name. I love that. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Welcome into the research participation pool. You just signed the consent form. The Homo economicus theory is basically this idea that you don't when people make decisions, it's entirely rational, and emotions and social pressure and stuff play no role, which we know is just no. It's pretty obviously not true, let's be honest. Unless you're me. I do everything completely rationality, of course. I would never be irrational. I could never. That's a joke. And then, the fact that there needs to be reference to social environment. I think that's a fairly widely agreed upon thing as well. Clearly some people disagreed. But yeah, most psychologists would tell you, social environment at least does something. It does something. Hi, Alex. Hi. How are you doing? I hope you're good. And thank you for the lab safe register check-in. Thank you. Let's see. Where did I get to? Okay, other themes showed a bimodal distribution, indicating more substantial disagreement. Respondents were split on whether things studied by psychologists, such as short-term memory, really exist, or if they're just theoretical constructs, and whether personality is largely stable across the lifespan. Finally, several themes showed less decisive responses. The large spike at the midpoint of ideal rules suggests that many respondents were not sure what to think when asked whether psychology should focus on discovering general rules that govern cognition or studying the ways in which cognition departs from such ideal rules. Supplementary Table 1 presents regression models that quantify bimodality and peaks such as the spike at the midpoint of ideal rules. Furthermore, extended data figure 2 provides a simultaneous overview of all 16 controversial themes by projecting these onto a two-dimensional space using uniform manifold approximation and projection. I think we looked at that before too. I'm not gonna look at those right now. I think it's far more interesting to move on to their actual the stuff that links into the theory that they talked about, to be honest. The bimodal distribution of these controversial themes, some of them are controversial. That makes sense. Doing good? I'm glad. Hi, Shiro Cup Quack. Hi. How are you? I hope you're good. Yes, lots of big words today. If you need me to define any of the big words, please tell me, and we will look up a definition together, because I can very rarely define anything. Okay. Predictors of respondent stances on controversial themes. Okay, this is where it gets a bit interesting, I think. That's a silly question. Right? Should we, the one about ideal rules, is that what you mean? It is a bit weird, right? Because it's we can try and, first of all, ideal rules, that's a really weird way to phrase it. As a neurodiversity advocate, I am fundamentally opposed to the concept of ideal rules. I don't like that. But on top of that, what does ideal rules even mean? Do you just mean Universal rules would have been a much clearer way to describe it, actually. I think that might have been what they meant, but like, why didn't they do that? I don't know. A bit weird. And hi Pembu, hi, thank you for the live safe register check-in. I hope you're good. Yeah, the ideal rules one. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's a weird way to phrase it. Oh, thank you for the suggestion, Nightmind. That's an interesting idea. I have been thinking about this, actually. Can you demonstrate study design principles by designing a study using your audience as participants? I have been thinking about it. The problem is that I have to find a way to make sure that I can get genuine informed consent before the stream starts. Or like before the data collection starts, basically. I think it should be okay. Because it's a demonstration, it's not an actual study. Like, I think it would be okay to have a little note up on the screen and say like, hey, your data is being used, by the way, for this stream, and people could, in theory, come back and identify who you are. So I need to be careful about what I choose to do it on, but I have been thinking about it. I've also been thinking about ways that we could potentially do citizen science projects on stream, because I think that would be really, really cool, but I need to think about what that would look like, you know? The goal of psychology should be to understand as much of human cognition as possible. Yeah, exactly, right? So like we need to know if there are any universal rules, but we also need to know about departures from the rules. Like they're both equally important because like the latter tells us the boundary conditions on the former. It's a really weird concept, to be honest, the way they described it. Just got in, so I have no idea what we're learning about, but I'm here to find out. Heck yeah, TLDR, they're researching whether the way that people process information affects what type of research they do. That's basically the TLDR of the paper. Does the way you process information affect the type of research that you want to do as a psychologist? But they're not actually measuring the cognitive traits themselves. They measured self-reports on them, which means that they just got people to do a survey and be like, yeah, man, I'm totally good at numbers. So we have to just take up people's words on it, unfortunately, which isn't perfect. It's not the best way to do it. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah, categorizing things into general rules or departure from the rules is arbitrary. Exactly, because like if you've got a theory, you have patterns that you expect to see, but you also have boundary conditions on when those patterns apply. So like you need to have the departures from the rules need to be built into the rules. Like otherwise they're not universal rules by default. Like it doesn't make sense. If you're watching this, you have your consent to have your data harvested and sold for research. I won't sell it, I swear. Unless, like, does it count as commercial use if I earn money from stream? It's not much. It's like, I get, like, I transparency, I guess. I get like $40 a month. Like, it's not much. It's you know, it's like a Nando's. We treat Husmod to a Nando's every now and then type of thing. So I don't think that would classify as commercial because it's not enough. But I would have to do a lot of like digging into like the data protection rules around it and stuff. But I do want to do it. Hi! Lilia! Hi, how are you? Welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. Hi. How are you, Lilia? Welcome. And welcome, raiders. Hi, WLF. Hi. Hello, T-Rexatron. Hi. How are you? I hope you're good. How was your stream, Lilia? Welcome in, raiders. I am Psydere. I'm a research psychologist. And as you can see, we're doing research psychology today. I'm reading a paper. In theory, in practice, we're like just yapping about it, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, we do science in these here parts. Sounds like they're talking more about normativity than finding universal laws. Yeah, exactly. Thought I copied the raid message. That's a mood. That's happened to me. The other day, I tried to raid out to somebody and I just forgot to do the raid message full stop. So, you know, I hope that makes you feel a bit better. But yeah, if you need to, you know, take a break, get up, stretch, eat food, drink water, do any of the things, please absolutely do. Like self-care, very, very important. But yeah, also you're obviously always welcome to just hang around. We love you. We love you. Hope you're having a fun, knowledgeable stream so far. It's been mostly me complaining about the methodology. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It's just me complaining. We're going through the results now. In theory, I should actually get going on the results. Actually, yes, exactly. By raiding into this stream, you consent to participate in whatever studies occur. Exactly. Oh no. I should. Yeah, I should. I'm working out whether I would sell everybody's data. Exactly. Exactly. Hi, Kobe. Hi. How are you? I hope you're good. The words per minute, I don't want to know. It's probably 0. Yeah, it's probably 7.5. That's not too bad. That's not too bad, I think. Sounds about right. Some people's methodologies are questionable. Sometimes I wonder how they pass ethics board. See, this one, I can see how they passed ethics board because it's not ethically questionable at all, really. The most potentially ethically questionable thing is that, like, they did surveys with academic psychologists. And then they also looked at their, like, they got their consent to pull their bibliometric records and they linked the two up. And they did obviously then, like, wipe the link, so you don't know who they are. It's not really ethically problematic, but the methodology, like, I feel like ethics boards, like, in theory, they're meant to check methodology, but in practice, I think a lot of the time they just kind of go like, oh, is there actually any, like, is this going to cause us problems, basically? And then if it doesn't seem to, then they're like, yeah, it looks grand. Whereas, like, really, they should also be assessing the rigor of the methods. And in this one, they say that they're trying to look at the relationship between cognitive traits and so, like, for example, like need for closure and yeah, how that translates into, like, they're trying to correlate it with, like, you know, citation patterns and authorship patterns and stuff like that, and, like, in order to try and work out whether they predict people's research preferences. But they can't say that because they haven't measured the actual traits. They've not done tasks, like cognitive tasks. They've just done self-report. So I'm kind of like, huh? Huh? I suffer. Isn't reviewing the rigor what peer review is for, though? Yeah, but the problem is that that kind of peer review tends to come after. It's like, it tends to come when it's submitted for publication. Whereas ideally it should come during the ethical peer review, because then, you know, they can actually make changes. I don't know. Well, wriggle meme, I'm being studied. I'm being studied! Oh no. Dear Lord. Let's never do that voice again, shall we? Okay. Also, thank you for the lab safe for checking and hydrate, Kobe. Thank you. I will have some water. It's actually very warm. I'm suffering. I'm not gonna lie. We have a single ray of sun in the whole of Ireland. It's wild. Hosmod is literally making a face because it's so warm. That's, yeah, it's so warm. I'm struggling so much. I'm not gonna lie. I'm struggling. It's fine though. Hosmod's asking me if I can open the window, but I don't want the background noise. It will create so much background noise. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was a good Ralph, thank you. Thank you. One of my weird talents, apparently. We should use it as a sound bite. That can be the new, like, the new raid message or something. I don't know. I'm being studied. Help. We can add it as a sound. What's the thing? The sound alert. We'll do it as a sound alert if you're lucky. Maybe. I don't know. Not paid enough. Okay, that's because you're not paid anything. You're paid with appreciation. Thank you, Hosmod. Yeah, it would be a good Discord sound. I agree. Silliness aside, I saw that the UK is heading into a heat wave at the moment. Said London was going to hit 32. Yeah, I've heard rumors that bits of England could actually hit 40. Which has happened before. It happened once, actually. The first time that it was ever recorded to be 40 degrees in the UK was in a random day in July at Heathrow Airport. And on that random day in July, I happened to be at Heathrow Airport. And I got to say to you, like, I've been to hot countries, But you have to walk. I got a walking plane. Like, we didn't have like the extendo thingy that goes out, you know? We had to walk to our plane. And that 5 minutes of walking to the plane was literally like the worst thing I've ever done in my whole life. It was so bad. You paid in delaying the cooking stream. It's true. It's true. UK is gonna die. Your buildings are made for cold and damp, not heat. I know. Ireland's the same as well. Like the whole of both of the islands are both. There's more than 2. If you count all of the little ones, there's more than 2. All of the islands, they are struggling. Yeah. You guys aren't built for it. Yeah, it's not built for it. It's not built for it. I see. I'm fine with 32 as well, but not. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. But like 32, like I've experienced 32 like in like in Southeast Europe. Okay, I've experienced 32 in Southeast Europe, and I must tell you categorically, it is very, very different to 32 in the UK. Like 32 in London and 32 in like Greece, not the same thing. Even if you're just outside, still not the same thing. They're very, very different. Yeah, it's entirely if the wind wants to cooperate. It's partly that, I think. I think it's partly the humidity as well, but I don't know. My skin itself isn't built for it. It's just pure pain. That is such a mood. That's such a mood. I used to do roofing in 40-degree weather. How? That's wild. I would just explode. I would just not cope. I've experienced 42 in Japan and that was more manageable. That's surprising. Everybody says that Japan is like the worst. Everyone that I've ever spoken to is like, summer in Japan, worst thing ever, never go, it's awful. I think I've experienced 45 in the Canary Islands. And it was unpleasant, but it wasn't unbearable. So yeah. But like 30 something in London, no, I would never. And like there's not even like air conditioning in most places either. That's the worst thing. Like most buildings do not have air conditioning. Like you have to go to like a shopping center or something, and even then it's like 50-50 whether they'll have it. So yeah. The northwest coast of Canada and the US is also built for damp and cold. We hit 40+ and people were dying because their homes got too hot. I had to leave my apartment with my 6 cats because they couldn't stand without panting. Yeah, I think the same thing happens here. So Ireland, to be honest, Ireland's super lucky because we're smaller. So we've got a bit more like coastal something, like the like temperature regulation because of the ocean, right? We've got a bit more of that because we're a smaller island. But like Britain, like bits of Britain are they're just cooked. And on top of that, like the worst part of it is in the southeast, and that's also where London is. And if you're in London, like it's just solid concrete. Like they really don't have enough plants in London, to be honest. Like they have big parks, but like the regular streets don't have enough plants on them. So like it's all just tarmac and it all proper soaks it up and then it bounces off the glass buildings and stuff. It's horrible. It's so bad. Southeast Asia tends to be hot and humid in summer. Oh, I can imagine. I would not cope very well, I think. I think I would actually just explode. Europeans not having air conditioning is crazy. Well, it's not really, because like when I was a kid, it never used to get that hot. Like even in my lifetime, I'm not, like, I know we joke that I'm a hag. I'm actually not a hag, guys. Like I'm actually not a hag at all. So I'm not a hag. Don't look at me like that. I'm not a hag. And even when I was growing up, it was like significantly, you know, cooler in the summer. And in the winter, it would snow every single year. So yeah. Can't wait for the Gulf Stream to collapse. Yay. Yay. Hi, Jagger. Thank you for the Labs Native Register check-in. How are you? Thank you for the jiggling Snorlax. I can relate to that, actually. In fact, I do that exact dance to Husmod sometimes just to confuse him. Yeah, the winds are blocked by Ireland. Yeah, we get all of the Atlantic winds, so it's a bit cooler. It's a bit cooler. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. Southeast Asia tends to be hot and humid every single day of the year. Ugh, it's my worst nightmare. Worst nightmare. The fact that buildings in London got noted for damaging cars with a reflection. Yeah, there's one, right? I think it's like there's like a curvy one, and it's like it works like a magnifying glass. Like if you park your car in the wrong spot underneath it, it literally will melt your car. Like to the point where they're just like, nah, man, you can't park there anymore. Hag is mid-20s. I refuse. I refuse to accept that hag is mid-20s. Under that definition, yes, but no, I refuse. I'm a mummy, and yes, the temperatures were different. Genuinely, they were so different. Was it the shard? Oh, for some reason I thought it was like the I don't know if you know the one that I mean, but there's like a weird curvy one. Not the gherkin, but like there's a weird curvy one somewhere in Canary Wharf, I think. I was thinking it was that one, but it might not be. If a hag's mid-20, I'm a walking corpse. Honestly, I feel that. I feel that. I think it's very unfair that I'm a hag, but I am soon going to be genuine 100% classified hag, because I think they do say that once you hit your 30s, you are a bona fide hag. So I will accept it. Yeah, okay, 30 plus, okay. I'm dangerously close. But I am not a hag yet, so take that. Take that. Given the audience is often 17 to 21, a hag being 27 plus is a hag. Okay, yes, in theory, but I think that actually in general, like I think you lot are all actually probably about the same age as me on average, if not possibly a little bit older. So yeah, like I think I've worked out who's younger and who's my age and who's older. So yeah. I feel like I think I remember the shard doing something. I don't know if it was a car though, but yeah, it does point up, doesn't it? Well, we're doing about 70 to 90% humidity, and I have temperatures between upper 20s and mid 30s. Oh no. And we're looking at a few days in mid 30s for the next couple of days. No, I'm not about that. Thank you. I'm not about that. Not about that. YouTube says my audience is exclusively males 20 to 30. That's so interesting. Now I want to check my analytics very quickly. I don't get information about that on Twitch, which is annoying. I wish I did. Let's see. Guess my age. That is well, okay, what do we know about you? You said that you were like a laborer. You worked on roofs in 40 degrees, which means that you must be at least 18, because it's illegal to do that under 18. You're probably over 21 also, because you said you used to do it, which implies that you don't do that as a job anymore. So you've got a different career now, which I would say probably puts you in your late 20s. So I'll hazard a guess in the middle of your late 20s, and I'll say 27. Yeah. How close was I? We want to do guess the chatter's age for a few minutes. Alex, I would guess that you are like, I think I remember you're in college, so 20. That's where I would guess you at. Maybe. Very close, I'm 25. Nice. Do me. Okay, you said that you're a hag. You're categorically a hag, so I'm going to go with 35 for you. Yeah, you have been very honest about your age, Astral. You have been. Hi, Eric. Hi. Thank you so much for the resub. Oh my gosh, 19 months. That's wild. I think you're like one of the first ever subs, if I remember correctly. Do you still have your founder's badge? You should do. I hope you do. Yeah, you do. Nice. Let's go. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate it. Do me. Guns, I think. Okay, you give me like slightly younger vibes, but not like super, super young. You also prick? No, what? That was rude. I apologize. You do not do that. You cook. That's the word. You cook pretty good food. Combined cook and pretty. Brilliant. You cook pretty good food. So I would put you maybe like 24. Yeah. Coldish? Ish? Are you more hag? More hag or less hag? Direct, I think you're about the same age as me probably. So like late 20s, potentially. That's what I would guess. Transition straight from boy to hag. Honestly, same. You subbed day one, you really did. You were so on the ball. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't know, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. Checking the weather and seeing it go from yellow to red. Oh no. Oh no. I wonder where you'd put me. Penbu, I would say you are... To be honest, I would say you're probably also mid-20s. That's the vibe you give me. I might be wrong, though. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, like 25-ish. Don't know. You're actually 30? No way. To be fair, a lot of people underguess me as well. Like, if they see me in real life, they especially tend to underguess my age. And then when they interact with me, they think that I'm like just pure unequivocal Zoomer. And I'm like, sorry, I'm actually Zillennial. Okay, a few years older than that. Interesting. Okay, we're going off topic. I wanted to ouch, I meant to do that. I'm going to quickly look at my YouTube analytics because I'm interested to see what my audience is in terms of like gender breakdown. Should I do the last year? That would be the most accurate, right? My viewers are 62% male and 35% female and 3% other. Yes. User specified. And they are primarily in the 18 to 34 age bracket. There you go. So, I mean, I feel like two-thirds male is actually pretty good for a VTuber audience, right? Like, that's not massively biased compared to others that I've seen. Yeah, not bad for a VTuber. There was a time where I was exactly 50-50, but I think the recent shorts have skewed it slightly more VTuber-y again. So, yeah, because like the psychology audience is primarily women and the VTuber audience is primarily men, so I think I kind of get both. Yeah. And yeah, I get a good age range as well, 18 to 34. That's pretty good. Apparently 0.3% of my viewers are over the age of 65, which is extremely cool. If you are the one viewer that is, 65 plus, hello. And then most of my viewers on YouTube are from the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Philippines, and Indonesia. So there you go. Canada also kind of appears if I just look at long form videos. Yeah. There you go. Interesting facts. Okay. 18 to 24 seems like a very uninformative age bracket. Yeah, 18 to 34, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it does say 45% are 18 to 24, and then 25 to 34 is 35%. So they're slightly more younger. It kind of makes sense because that's like student age, right? So that makes sense that would be the prime people watching my channel. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Okay, should we go back to the actual paper now? I'm being bullied, aren't I? I didn't even need to read it and to know that it's me being bullied. Wasn't Z's like 95% male? Yeah, that's not surprising though, because she's hitting the perfect intersection of VTuber audience, which is primarily male, and physics audience, which is primarily male. So I'm honestly not surprised. Like, please tell me like the average demographic for cute anime girl doing physics. Like, it's pretty obviously gonna be dudes age 18 to 34. Like, come on. Yes, you are not the 65 one. Yes, Bobo. Yes. Adding to the Canada count. Hell yeah. Let's go. No. What's no? What? Someone in the department monitoring you. To be fair, I think there's nobody at my work that is that age bracket. Most people at my work are within I think they go up to, they go up to 40. We're fairly young as far as a science workplace goes. You asked whether to carry on with the paper. Oh, I see. We're carrying on with the paper just because you told me not to. Okay. Is the viewer emeritus? So true. Okay. It's true. You are used to it. It's true. May I ask an off-topic question? What are your favorite flowers? That's a good question. I don't know enough about flowers to give a solid answer, to be honest. I like lavender. Yeah, I like lavender. I like... mostly I just eat plants, to be honest. I don't really pay attention to them that much. I just eat them. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I'd kept a list of flowers that I like, because now I don't know off the top of my head. Remind me and I will come back to that another time. Reverse psychology, super effective against psychologist. No, I will see through it. Actually, no, to be fair, it's an element of the demand avoidance, to be honest. I can work with that. That sounds threatening. What's your favorite tasting flowers? That's a good question. I don't know. I do really like chamomile tea. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big chamomile enjoyer. That's a flower, right? Right? Actually, wait. Let me find very quickly. What is the English flowers? Let's see. Bluebells, that's the one. I like bluebells. They're very cute. And I like bluebells have significance in my life. I'll just put it that way. So bluebells, and then what else is there going on here? No. No. Actually, snowdrops are quite cute as well. I like the ones that point down, apparently. English grown flowers. I'm trying to find what types of flowers they have. Oh, wait, hang on. Here's a nice infographic. Let's rely on that. I'm sure this won't spread misinformation. There's like rose hips as well, but I used to just eat them. So, let's see. Carnations are quite cute as well. Every flower is edible if you're brave enough. That's definitely not true. Please do not eat random flowers. That's not ideal. Not ideal. 4 a.m. and it's still too hot and muggy here. Yes, go get your air conditioning. Right, hi, how are you? I hope you're good. How are you doing? Daffodils are very nice. Daffodils are quite cute. But like they're Welsh. Like is it daffodil? No, wait, not daffodils. Wait, yeah, daffodil. Wait, hang on, I'm having a moment. Wait. Yeah, daffodils. Daffodils are like the Welsh national flower, and I'm not Welsh, so that feels wrong. I feel like I can't claim that. But yeah, lavender, rosehip, snowdrop, bluebells. I would say those are my favorites. Yeah, probably those. I will be quiet, Shiro. I'll be quiet. Oh, bluebells are lovely, but a relative has an allergy. That's so sad. Wisteria is nice. Wisteria is nice. That is nice. Every flower is edible at least once. Oh no, it's true. I'm a nightshade. I actually have an allergy to nightshade plants. I can't touch raw potato or raw tomato because they, like, I can eat them fine, but I can't touch them because they, do very bad things to my skin. If you like punch, you'll like the taste of hibiscus. Ooh, I've never tried it actually. Proceeds to derail. Yeah, I know. I'm so bad. I'm sorry. Hi, Skeletones. Hi. How are you? I hope you're good. Doing well. I'm so glad to hear it. Right. No idea where daffodils are from. To be fair, they do grow in England. But they're like the national flower of Wales, I think, if I remember correctly, alongside leeks. I believe that's the other national plant of Wales is leeks. I might be wrong. Is it Wales? I might be getting it mixed up. Yeah, we do have the red and white roses in England. That's very true. To represent how we used to, dislike each other's royalty in the North and the South, and then we reunited, but we still don't like each other that much. English people, am I right? They were so funny in Alice in Wonderland cartoons when they came to life. That's so true. They were very funny. Curious about the paper results. I should get back to that. Let's do it. Okay. So, right, I don't know if you were here for previous streams at all, if you dropped in at all. I can't remember. I don't have any thoughts. Basically, TLDR, they're trying to see if cognitive traits like need for cognitive closure, need for closure and tolerance of ambiguity, they're trying to see if those align with psychologists' research fields. So like if they're more tolerant of ambiguity, they're more likely to become a social psychologist rather than an evolutionary psychologist. However, they didn't actually give the tasks. They've given self-report questions. So we're not actually seeing that relationship at all. So we should actually find out what they did see though. So they began by regressing respondents' stances regarding the controversial themes onto their cognitive traits. Area of psychology, research methods, and gender. Oh, they did. Okay, they did think about gender. That's good. I'm glad that they thought about gender because I was really worried that they were not going to think about the potential gender bias in like some of those measures and also between fields. So that's good. They did think about it. They excluded non-binary respondents because the predictor category didn't reach the threshold for significance. That's fair enough. It's always really, really small and it's quite difficult. So figure 2 plots the linear relationships between all 16 themes and one of the cognitive traits, tolerance of ambiguity. Linear relationships for the other cognitive traits are summarized in Appendix 2. There's stuff on the OSF repository. Go check it out if you want to. The associations between the controversial themes and other variables are summarized in Figure 3. The ordering of the variables within a panel reflects the hierarchical clusters derived from the coefficients within the panel cells. For example, in Figure 3, controversial themes from social environment to perception of I hate this word. Veridicil, there we go, goodness gracious. In the top half of the panel, all appear in the same broad cluster because they have similar associations with various research areas. Conversely, research areas from comparative and animal behavior to neuropsychology in the right half of the panel are clustered together because they have similar associations with the various controversial themes. Correspondingly, the clusters of controversial themes in Figure 3b are defined by themes having similar associations across the various research methods, where the clusters of themes in 3c are defined by associations with cognitive traits. Let's see. Oh, goodness, that is okay, that's the tolerance of ambiguity. So those are the relationships that they're saying they saw. I've already forgotten what this was. Okay, controversial theme responses, percent agreement, cognitive trait score. And then these are the different controversial themes. Okay. So whether constructs in psychology are real or not seems to have 0.15 relationship, but to be honest, all of these are low. All of these are very, very small. Like, well, not some of them are not very, very small. Some of them are kind of small. I think probably the only ones really that we would be in this kind of not convinced that what would be a good cutoff really to look at. I feel like these are all just kind of small. Like 0.10 is probably fine, but like the ones that are below 0.10, not so sure about that one. This one's got a pretty, the rational self-interest, the Homo economicus one, it's got a pretty strong relationship compared to the others, but it was also very, like, that's going to be really skewed by outliers, like, because pretty much everybody was in the same place on it. So yeah. Not convinced of that relationship there, Chief. Like this, they had such a big sample that in theory, all of these will be, no, not in theory, like genuinely, all of them will be significant, but that doesn't really mean anything. So, what do they say? So the hexes show binned 2D density plots with density scaled such that the peak density in each subpanel has a value of 1. Linear fits are shown in red. The correlation coefficient corresponding fit is in the top left of the panel with a t-value. They provide extra information in the OSF repository. I'm not convinced by any of these. I don't think these are strong enough to really, like, the ones that are strong seem to be, this one is very skewed, very, very skewed. This one is a bit more interesting, I think. The constructs real and the math models, those two are a bit more interesting. The rest of them, like, that's also very skewed, the ideal rules one. So we can just ignore that too. Holistic view, also pretty skewed. I think really the only ones that we can draw a solid conclusion of, because they've got a good spread and also a decent R value, are the math model and the constructs real. But even then, like, it's not massive. Not massive. What were the instrument they used to measure these? It was, some of it was like one item measures, which isn't ideal really. Some of it were, there we go, okay. They do have, to be fair, they do have the questionnaires all open in the OSF repository. So they used the verbalizer visualizer quotient. They used the object spatial imagery and verbal questionnaire. And then they used, they just said 2 scales about need for cognition and tolerance of ambiguity. Let's see, 39. Revised, yeah, so the McDonald's scale, revised scale for ambiguity tolerance. And then they used a few extra one item measures as well. So, oh gosh, there's been a whole chat about English history while I was not paying attention. I wonder why they didn't try the need for closure scale and intolerance uncertainty scales in those. Wait, I wonder why they didn't try the need for closure scale and intolerance for uncertainty scale in those were some of the constructs. Yeah, I to be honest, the measure choice, I don't really understand some of them full stop. Like I said, they used self-report on the like verbalizer visualizer instead of actual tasks measuring verbal and visual acuity. So, yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. I don't understand the measure choice on this paper, but you know, we're gonna see where it goes. So now we're gonna have a lot of very significant p-values because they had 8,000 respondents. So area of research and research methods. What? Individual cells showed many of the relationships one would expect if our measures have construct validity. For example, researchers in evolutionary and comparative psychology thought psychological theories should focus on the evolution of mental faculties, while cognitive neuroscientists thought that neurobiological mechanisms are essential for explaining human behavior, as did biopsychologists and neuropsychologists. The importance of neurobiological explanations were higher amongst respondents who reported using electrophysiological measures such as EEG and cranial stimulation and neuroimaging. That makes sense. Those who reported using mathematical models in their research also indicated that mathematical models are more important to scientific progress in psychology. TLDR, lots of people are very self-interested and trying to justify their own methodological choices. Incredible. Love that. More importantly, the data also reveal less obvious associations between beliefs, areas of study, and methods. For instance, researchers who use physiological and neuroimaging/stimulation methods reported lower belief in the importance of social environment. I feel like those betas are a bit more interesting, actually. So, like, the cranial stimulation, negative 0.72, that's quite interesting. I wonder if... See, okay, but again, this is correlational, right? We don't know whether the traits cause people to go into certain fields or whether the traits develop because they go into certain fields. I can see potentially that somebody doing stimulation methods, like especially like cranial stimulation, like TMS and things like that, I can totally imagine somebody doing that, and then because of that, they become more convinced in their beliefs around the importance of biology over social environment. Because like when you see, like I helped out with a TMS study when I was an undergrad, and when you see somebody that's like completely verbally fluent, like completely you know, coherent and verbally fluent, and they are vibing and they're reading perfectly well. And then you do the TMS, like the what was it again? Transcranial magnetic stimulation. Like basically it's just a giant magnet. You just pulse a giant magnet over their head. And like their words just go, and then they go back to reading normally. And they like, as far as they're concerned, they think that they just kept processing and reading completely fine. Like when you see that happening, it's like, oh, I guess we are just biology. So I can kind of see how like experiences with your research methods might strengthen these kinds of beliefs, you know? But yeah, obviously there's no longitudinal element to this paper, so there's no way to check the causality. It's just reporting descriptions and correlations and stuff. So they haven't implied any causality in the results yet, but they kind of implied a potential causal direction in the introduction, which makes me nervous. It is a lovely sample size, you're right. I feel like TLDR, it makes sense based on why they went into those fields, based on their preferences for conducting science. If you start in neuroscience and you go into neuroscience, and you're often pushed into neuroimaging, unless your lab faculty mentor is more neurobiotype. Yeah. And then clinical is across the board, depending on subpopulation focus and PhD training program. Yeah, exactly, right? Like they are looking a bit at like social network, but I'm not sure. I honestly, I think that this is one of those papers where it's just kind of like describing stuff, but we're gonna need a lot more digging into this kind of thing to actually make any conclusions. Like this feels like a kind of like, oh look, we're starting kind of something a little bit type of paper, if that makes sense. Honestly, I have a hard time accepting the description of a lot of these things as cognitive traits as opposed to just being beliefs. This is the other thing, right? I don't know enough cognitive psychology to know exactly when, like, I know beliefs, but I don't really know cognitive traits, if I'm being brutally honest. And every time that I've ever tried to put cognitive traits, like certain types of information processing, into my studies, I always get null results on them, like every single time. So, and that includes one of the things actually that they're using in this. I've used the need for, I think it was the need for ambiguity and need for cognition. I've used those before, and like it just didn't do anything, like when in theory it should have. So I kind of get you. I kind of get you. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna drink some water. Okie dokie. While there may be practical limitations to the number of interacting people that can be studied simultaneously with such methods, this needed to not... Wait, what? Okay. Researchers who use physiological and neuroimaging / stimulation methods reported lower belief in the importance of social environment. While there may be practical limitations to the number of interacting people that can be studied simultaneously with such methods, this need not go together with a theoretical belief about the non-importance of social context in explaining human cognition. Yet our data show such a relationship. Oh, to be fair, they kind of just addressed the exact thing that I was yapping about. Thank you for the hydrate, Orishiro. I will hydrate. Thank you. I've not been drinking enough today, I'm not going to lie. I still need to work out some kind of tracking setup thing for when I'm losing tracking. Yeah. Psydere includes metrics with weak or null results in papers, even if it doesn't contribute. Also, Psydere does a meta review of her own papers proving the metric is actually useless. I'm actively countering the file drawer effect. Take that. Eye tracker. You know what? The thing is that as a psychologist, I can probably get a hold of one a lot easier than most average people. That's the thing. I could just borrow one if I really wanted to. I know a guy. I literally know a guy. Okay. These patterns of associations are quite extensive and can be explored in more detail with their data. Oh, they got a data dashboard. That's pretty cute. I love that. I love that for them. A controversial theme may be associated with multiple methods, or a method may be associated with responses to multiple themes. For instance, social environment was also deemed less important among respondents who are using pharmacological interventions, eye tracking, really? Mathematical modeling, and behavioral experiments with various populations. So specifically typical adults, children, atypical populations, but Sorry. I shouldn't just go, bleh. I hate that phrase. And animals. Conversely, those preferring case studies showed exactly the opposite theoretical commitments for 12 out of the 16 themes compared to those preferring behavioral experiments. A range of methods from case studies to self-reports were associated with similar stances on multiple beliefs, including the value of certain explanations, neurobiological essential, mathematical models, whether psychology should aim at uncovering rules governing cognition, and how widely individual minds differ. So they're kind of seeing the same patterns that one would expect to see on the basis of just talking to people, to be honest. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this kind of matches up with what I would expect. But I still don't know whether we can say, like, the trait is... Like, I don't know whether we can say that, like, the controversial theme causes the research preference, or the research preference causes the controversial theme placement. Like, it, again, like, there's no causality here. There's no way to infer causality, so... It's kind of interesting that it matches up in the way that you would expect it to, but also more research needed. Whee! Oh no. The inclusion of weak or null is to prove the other papers were silly. It's true. I just actually do it because I have a personal beef with the file drawer effect. The eye tracker thing on VTubers is something I've always wanted to know how they did it with OBS, and I haven't been able to get enough information to find out. I can try and find out, because I think I might know someone that's done it, so I can try and find out. I know that you can actually get just like head mounted eye trackers. You can also get screen mounted eye trackers, and I think you can also use the same sort of tracking algorithms that is used for VTubing on eye tracking. But you need a separate webcam for it, because like it's calibrated to your screen rather than like wherever your tracking setup is. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that VTube Studio does eye tracking. You could probably just have like an additional API, or not an API, like an additional like plugin for VTube Studio that kind of approximates where you're looking, potentially. But yeah, no, it's like the same algorithms are used for eye tracking, even in studies, as well as VTubing, which is quite fun. Yeah. Okay, so cognitive traits. Let's move on to the cognitive traits. The one's choice of research area and research method is associated with how one thinks about research is not especially surprising and does not indicate a causal relationship. Okay, shout out to you for saying that. Thank you, because I'm not gonna lie, the introduction low-key kind of implied a causal relationship and it made me very nervous. Thank you for stating that explicitly. A researcher who, for whatever reason, finds explanations that stress social context unpalatable may gravitate towards methods and research questions that focus on the individual or specific component systems as units of analysis. It's more surprising if one's stance on scientific questions is associated with a putatively, what does that word mean? Putatively? I've discovered a new word and I wish to know what it means. Define putative. Oh gosh, putatively. Generally considered or reputed to be. Okay. Okay, noted. Hi, Novishka. Hi. Welcome in. Just found your channel. I'm an IO psychologist. Oh, that's so cool. With psychoanalytic, psychodynamic training. No way. IO is industrial organizational. It's like workplace psychology, I guess. So normally it's, sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm IO splaining. Hello, I'm a social psychologist. I think we do a lot of the same stuff, but I do it in generally, and you do it specifically in workplaces. But yeah, it's like workplace psychology basically. In the UK and Ireland, it's called occupational psychology. So yeah, it looks at how people cope in the workplace, how to make workplaces better for their psychological well-being, or for how to optimize things. Sometimes there's like optimizing about like productivity and stuff like that. Yeah, so just a range of cool stuff. It's very, very cool. I find it very interesting. I like how I like research about how people respond to workplace policies. That's my personal favorite little IO niche. I don't know why. I just really like it. I find it so interesting to see how people respond to workplace policies when they're implemented. It's like really cool. Yes. Input output, exactly. Yes. That's what you do, Husmod. You do input output. Okay. I had a bachelor's in social psychology and a master's in IO and a lot of psychoanalysis training. That's so cool. Let's go. Fellow social psych, let's go. And hi, Cat with C4. Hi. I joined in. Bro, are you guys studying? Kind of. We're reading a paper. This is like a journal article from the journal Nature Human Behavior. So it's like a science journal. Yeah. Yeah. You may of course join us. You're always welcome to join us. Workplace policies are 80% dumpster fires, so it's super interesting how people respond. Honestly, like, this is the thing, right? Sometimes it's a good policy and it's just framed in completely the wrong way, and that means that, like, people will just hate it, or, like, it's implemented in the wrong way. Sometimes it's just a bad policy, but sometimes even bad policies can be widely accepted if they're framed or implemented in the right way. Like, it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild that it's not, like, just about the policy content itself. It's about, like, how people talk about it and how people interact with it and how people interact with each other and talk about it to each other. Like, it's so cool. There's so much social dynamics that happen there. That's why I find it cool. Sorry, I'm nerding out. I apologize. Thank you for the follow, Cat with C4. Thank you, thank you. Welcome into the research participation pool. I hope you're ready to take part in some research. You just signed the informed consent form. You're saying that there's no bad policies, only bad implementations. No, I'm saying there's bad policies, but I'm saying, like, sometimes good policies get mistaken for bad ones on the basis that they're not communicated in the right way, or that people, like, start talking about them in the wrong way. And likewise, sometimes bad policies get mistaken for good ones. Like, and the fact that that happens is really interesting, because it's kind of like in the same way that, like, people will, like, vote for politicians that are actively against their own interests, right? It's kind of almost the same thing. Like, they're not looking at the content, they're looking at the social cues around it, and they're looking at, like, the, you know, so, like, the, like, charisma and, like, group membership and stuff like that. Like, and I don't know, I find it really interesting. Yeah. Policy is nothing without leadership internalizing and modeling it. Yeah, exactly. And this is another thing I find so interesting, right? But then, like, so my research is kind of, like, on, like, the psychology of science. So I'm really interested in, like, metascience stuff. So, like, how people talk about and interact with and think about and, yeah, vibe generally in regards to science. And, like, one of the things that I find super interesting is that, like, for a long time, there was, like, a grassroots push from early career researchers to get open science to be, like, mandated across policy. And then when the policy was finally implemented, it was, like, the established researchers that, like, resisted it more than anyone else. But it still managed to be fairly successful at starting to change people's behaviors. And I think it's because, like, it became such a social norm among, well, first of all, it became a social norm among early career researchers, and then it started getting mandated top down. And that's the point where, like, people started being like, ugh, fine, I guess I have to do it in order to, like, get my funding and stuff. Like, I feel like it's so interesting because, like, in theory, scientists should be rational creatures, right? We are the prime example of why we are not Homo economicus, to be honest. We're the prime example of how we're not. So everybody who agreed with the Homo economicus thing, like the Homo economicus item in this paper that we're reading, what are you doing? You are literally evidence, like you are literally disproving the hypothesis with your own actions, probably. So thank you for the follow, Novishka. Thank you. Thank you for signing the informed consent form. Although, to be fair, you could probably help me do the research instead. Let's go. Extra paper, am I right? I'm yapping until the ad break ends. How long is this section? Oh, it's quite long. Oh, there's might be okay. Okay. Let's go over the cognitive traits. And then we'll skip down to the, what is this? This is just a massive correlation matrix. Okay, interesting. This is okay. We'll come back to that. Methods, that's a bit more interesting, I think. We'll come back to that too. We'll just look at the data visualizations, I think, because the stats themselves are kind of just reiterating the data visualizations. Where are we for the spreadsheet's sake? I don't even know anymore. And then we will come down and we will have a quick look at the discussion and see about what they say about effect sizes, because I'm interested in that and their conclusions. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. We will get through the key findings, I swear. I've been yapping too much, I apologize. For the spreadsheet's sake, we are... Where are we? I'm lost myself now. Brilliant. For the spreadsheet's sake, we are here. Cognitive traits. On page 4. I've accepted that I have the lowest words per minute. What can I say? I'm too much of a yapper. I can't be stopped. I can't be stopped. Hi, Lankuri. Hi, how are you doing? How are you doing? I hope you're good. I'm good, thank you. I'm very, very good, thank you. I am too warm. It's too warm, but I'm very, very good. Thank you. Skylark69, thank you so much for the Prime sub. What the heck? Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Let's go. Welcome in to your new Amazon-funded research assistant contract. Welcome into the lab. And we hit the sub goal. What the heck? That's exciting. That's exciting. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Do you use Notebook LM? I haven't actually. I haven't used it. I've heard things about it that make it sound interesting. I went to like a conference a little while back, and there was a dude who spent like half an hour just being like, "Yeah, man, I use Notebook LM, and I just like dump anonymized participant data in there because I do qualitative research, and then they like talk back to me the themes in a podcast." And I was like, did you put that in your data management plan? I'm scared. But aside from that, not really. New metric, 30 minutes per page. It's true, actually. I'd be lucky if it's that. I'd be lucky if it's that. Hi, Carmen. Hi. How are you doing? I hope you're good. The AWS funded study. It's time for me to get those sweet, sweet AWS credits. Yummy. Yummy, yummy. I can't wait to run all of my statistical models with them. Where's my Azure gang? It's true. We are part of the Azure gang in this house. We are. I'm sorry. Okay. Right. Cognitive traits. So, the trait associated with the broadest range of controversial themes was tolerance of ambiguity. Researchers who reported being more tolerant of ambiguity were less likely to endorse the Homo economicus view of behavior. So that's the people are rational. Less likely to think that constructs such as working memory really exist, and less willing to see computers as a useful analogy for studying cognition. Conversely, ambiguity-tolerant researchers are more likely to say that accounts grounded in single processes, such as working memory, are worse explanations than accounts considering several processes in concert, more likely to say that explanations of human cognition should be sensitive to context, and more willing to appeal to social environment in explaining behavior. Those effect sizes are kind of small. I'm not gonna lie. They're kind of small. They're not horrifically small, but they are kind of small. You know, like a beta of 0.122 is the biggest one. Oh wait, no, actually the one's up. Yeah, but okay, the Homo economicus view of behavior, though, that had a really, really small, like, that was like a really, really skewed responding, wasn't it? So I'm not sure about that one either. I'm curious what defense psychologists that believe in Homo economicus have. I have a feeling they're the types of people that were actually trained in economics and then ended up in a psychology department. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. GCP, I'm so sorry. That's Google, right? Didn't you have a massive outage the other day that like broke everything? I'm so sorry. It broke the whole internet. Let me tell you, I was at a conference when the CrowdStrike thing happened. And it was very stressful. Everyone was like, I can't access my slides. What do I do? And everyone was like, don't you have a backup on a pen drive? And they were like, it isn't 2015, Linda. I don't have a pen drive. Yeah, too soon. Sorry. I like that even economists are usually, we know this isn't accurate, but we just don't know how to make economic models with realistic human behavior. It's almost like economics and psychology should like do more interdisciplinary research. Like wild. Wild. Okay. Another cluster of cognitive traits focusing on cognitive structure and analytic thinking was broadly associated with responses to themes. So, for example, participants that reported higher cognitive structure, so that's a greater need for logic in their thinking and deliberation in planning their lives, were more likely to endorse the Homo economicus view of behavior. I really wish they would stop using that one as the example because, like I said, it had like basically no distribution whatsoever. I really don't think that they should be using that one. Two aspects of visual imagery belongs to different clusters. Spatial imagery patterned more with the analytic or structure cluster, whereas object imagery patterned more like creativity or ambiguity cluster. Okay, but there are exceptions. So this was their clustering. Oh yeah, we've looked at this already, sorry. No, this wasn't their clustering. This is their cluster. Oh Lord, okay. Okay. So we've got responses to controversial themes and research areas in this first correlation diagram. There is a correlation. The strongest correlation seems to be social environment and cognitive psychology. Really? Not social? Huh? Oh wait, it's negative. What? Oh yeah, no, actually that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so the most negative are cognitive psychology and cognitive neuropsychology. Those add up. The strongest, most positive ones were counseling and social psych. Those also make sense that social environment, you know, if you're doing those, you'd think it's important. It's kind of central to what you're doing. And then evolution matters was like really, really big in evolutionary psychology and not really anything else by the looks of it. A little bit in comparative and animal behavior, but yeah. Again, makes sense. These are often people that have got some kind of biology background. Negative correlation between constructs. Basically, counseling just disagreed with a whole bunch of stuff. So counseling was negatively correlated with constructs being real, mathematical models being accurate, universal rules, having universal mind, neurobiology essential. So yeah, basically all of the things that are like, we are like computers and or we are entirely biology. Those are all things. I have thoughts about economists. Don't we all? Don't we all? This is why I don't do Google Docs, people. Yeah, I know. Imagine how I felt. I was like, oh, I can't make any changes on my thesis for the next, like, day. Okay, understandable. It was a nice excuse, I guess, to have some time off. Right, social environment was most negatively correlated with single-cell electrophys. I don't know what that is actually. Oh, no, sorry. Cranial stimulation like TMS. Okay, that makes sense. And then most positively correlated with interviews. That also makes sense because interviews is generally qualitative research. Generally, you're like looking at social patterns and stuff like that. Neurobiology essential was very, very strongly linked to electrophys. I don't know what electrophys is. To be honest, I actually don't know what that is. Computational and mathematical modeling was most negatively correlated with what? Math models? Huh? Or is that meant to be a positive? Why have they... Okay, no, why... Wait, I've just realized that's the wrong way around. Okay, so positively correlated with math. Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say, I just don't understand their color scheme. Goodness gracious. This is just a bit intense. Overall, like these, like I said, these effect sizes are pretty small. Like they're small. So I don't like, there's definitely like little patterns of relationships emerging in the way that you would expect, but there's really like, they're not as strong as you might expect to see. So yeah. Cognitive measures and controversial themes. I think this is the bit where it gets kind of interesting. People who, let's see, wait, no. Cognitive measures. So deliberation, cognitive structure, need for cognition, visual orientation, analytic, spatial imagery, object imagery, practical dominance, etc. Okay, so it's like the strongest correlation out of all of them was negative 0.18. And that was between rational self-interest and tolerance of ambiguity. So that's the strongest correlation. That's still pretty small, to be honest. But again, the Homo economicus theory had like not very much variance. I don't think that you can robustly make a comment on that. There was also constructs real, which I think also didn't have much variance. And then, to be honest, those seem like the strongest ones. The rest of them have all got really, really small effect sizes. So I don't think that you can really say much going on here, to be honest. What's D? D, in place of clusters for gender, given the low dimensionality of the space representing gender, 2 themes were shown where men gave lower scores than women, and 2 with the reverse pattern. So which way round is it? Women were more likely to... Actually, no, what way round is this? I don't understand what's going on here. Mind universe. Okay, I see. Okay. So women were less likely to agree in that math models are accurate and less likely to agree that mind's universal. Otherwise, it seems like there weren't really any differences between the genders either. But even then, once again, this seems... I mean, this one seems fairly substantial. But again, this could be just down to field. Like, I don't know if this accounted for field. So can't really make any comments there either. There's a running pattern here. Fair play to them for like publishing something with like small effect sizes and stuff, because this still tells us something, right? This still tells us that like self-report measures on these cognitive traits probably don't tell us much about what people are doing in terms of their research. And that's still useful because we can now say, like, because this is such a big sample size, we can say, okay, senior researchers, this doesn't seem to do anything. Now, it would be super useful to look at this in the grad student context as well, because that's when you're still kind of being sorted into a field. So I would love to see how this replicates into grad students. But it seems like so far what the results are showing is that, like, although the links between field and research methodology and beliefs about controversial themes probably generally are there in the way that you would expect, that's not really mapping onto cognitive traits. That's what these results are telling me so far. What does this show us? So this shows, oh, okay, they included some case studies of like analyses. This is where I don't know if they corrected for multiple comparisons. I didn't see that anywhere. Let's have a quick check. Multiple comparisons. It's mentioned somewhere. Ah, they did adjust for multiple comparisons. Very good. Very good. But did they do it on that specific one? Maybe not, actually. I don't know anymore. I don't know. Thank you to InKnights2001 for the follow. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for signing the informed consent form. I hope you're ready to take part in some research. We have results. We do indeed. The results are mostly null. I'm not going to lie. The results are, well, not null, but they're like very, very small effect sizes. Like so far, not convinced. Okay. What do these regression models tell us? So, regression coefficients predicting 3 outcome variables. A, whether researchers use computational or mathematical modeling in their work. B, responses to controversial themes or neurobiological essential. C, responses to controversial theme thinking language. Points show regression coefficients. When the outcome variable is binary, A, the coefficient is expressed in logits. All continuous variables are z-scored are yielding a standardized effects coefficient. Standardized coefficients. I'm adding words that aren't there anymore. Goodness gracious, it's too warm. Note that the x-axes differ among panels to reflect the range of associations for the 3 different outcomes. Okay, cool. So, computational mathematical modeling. So, being in cognitive psychology, you're more likely to use mathematical modeling. That adds up to me. This is very, very close to 0. Obviously, it's not overlapping. So the way that confidence intervals work like this, right, is that if the bar is overlapping 0, that means it's not significant. I don't actually know. What would this be? 0.25. So that would be 0.25. So that would be about probably 0.125-ish. So yeah, so that's probably about 0.2. Maybe about 0.2, I guess. So that's about 0.12. Okay. So that's still pretty small. That's still pretty small. All of these effects are pretty small, I'm not gonna lie. Like the ones linking research areas to controversial theme opinions, like that, those are decent, but the traits, again, like these ones are also really small. I'm not convinced. Cognitive traits are associated with beliefs when you control for research. Okay, that's a bit more interesting. So they've controlled for research, but then, okay. Yeah, so they did the principal components analysis. Very good. Oh, wait, hang on. This is where they're getting into the associations with research activity. Okay, right. We used a series of regression analyses to examine whether cognitive traits were associated with responses to controversial themes, controlling for research area, method, and topics. Regressing cosine similarities between controversial themes on the similarities for other variables using multi-member random effects, we found that similarity in cognitive traits was a significant predictor of theme similarity even after controlling for the other variables. And the beta was 0.02. That is tiny. That is tiny. It's so small. It's so small. About half of the effect size of the strongest predictor. Yeah, that's really, really, really small. That suggests there's a lot of multicollinearity potentially happening. And also potentially it just has a very small effect in general. So that adds up. And then associations with research activity. So let's see. Okay, this is just more of the same, really. Where's the research activity thing? Do they not have a nice little graph? Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad. Okay. Associations with research activity. We investigated the link between cognitive traits and stances on controversial themes with publishing different types of work by linking survey responses and publications, you know, bibliometric data. We measured research activities in 3 ways. 1, co-authorship, who they published with. 2, content, a measure of semantic content of paper titles and abstracts. And 3, citations, which literature did they build upon. To assess co-authorship similarity, we embedded psychology papers appearing in Web of Science in a 128-dimensional social space using their co-author information, thereby representing the article's positions within the network of academic co-authors. And they did some cool stuff and things. This is, yeah, a little bit... Excuse me while I cough. My voice is starting to give out. We regressed co-authorship similarity on similarities on controversial themes, cognitive scales, research topics, research methods, and area of psychology. The strongest predictors of co-authorship similarity were research areas of similarity. No way. Okay. That seems fairly obvious to me, to be honest. Research method similarity also seems fairly obvious, to be honest. Both of those seem fairly obvious because you're probably not going to collaborate with somebody that's doing something totally different to you. And then also research topic similarity. This fits the intuition that scientists do similar research, tend to collaborate with each other. Yeah, okay. Similarity in responses to controversial themes and cognitive trait similarity explained unique variance in co-authorship, albeit to a smaller degree. Again, 0.01 and 0.006. And tiny, laughably small, I say, personally. Thank you for the hydrate, Redeemed Torgamus. Thank you. I will have some water. I would go as far as to say laughably small. I don't think that that's very worth... I don't think it really explains very much, to be honest. Strongest predictors of semantic similarity were also research area, co-authorship, research methods, and research topics. Again, adds up. People who research similar things tend to work together on research. They tend to do research projects together. Wacky. Similarity in citations was associated with similarity in areas of psychology, research methods, co-authorship, research topics, controversial themes, and cognitive traits. Again, all very small effect sizes. Seems pretty obvious. Like, people that research similar things tend to rely on the same literature. Yep, adds up. Okay, our findings provide evidence for the idea that science represents an ecology of diverse perspective on contentious themes, not straightforwardly resolved by the accumulation of more evidence. That is true. That is very, very true. people did show differing opinions on a number of those traits. We focused on divisions among researchers in psychological science, and they did indeed. I'm speed running because I'm trying to find the interesting bit that isn't just repeating. Where researchers stood on these topics, on the controversial topics, was correlated in both expected and unexpected ways with which the researchers study and how they study it. For example, the use of neuroimaging was associated with having lower belief in the importance of social environments. This suggests that it's not simply harder for those using neuroimaging techniques to study social groups. They're also less impressed by the theories that view social context as foundational for understanding human cognition. More generally, the use of specific research methods comes bundled with foundational beliefs about what is important and what signifies plausibility and ultimately truth itself. Differences in researchers' stances on our controversial themes were also associated with individual differences in various cognitive traits, ranging from tolerance of ambiguity, creativity, breadth of interest to the need for cognition, visual imagery, and deliberation. Yes, but very, 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 very small. Very, 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 very small. Yes. The results illustrate that incommensurability, the difficulty of mapping between one scientific paradigm and another, whether due to different theories, concepts, methods, or measures, is not purely an issue of abstract logic, but is also a matter of individual cognition. I feel like that's a very, very strong claim for the evidence that they presented, to be honest. I also am speed reading this, and I'm not seeing them at all mention... I'm not seeing them mention the bias towards senior researchers, which is kind of weird. And talking about the need for cognitive diversity, which is true, because we do need diversity in how people think in order to do a range of good research. That's very, very true. Choice of field. So the limitations. This is a large-scale study of an entire field's epistemic or theoretical commitments and their associations with cognitive traits. But a limitation is that we focused only on one field. We chose psychology because it aspires to be pluralistic. We do not think that the main claim here, that cognitive traits are associated with what kinds of ideas scientists find appealing, even holding their research area and methods constant, is limited to psychology. We would expect to find similar patterns, although naturally involving different theoretical content, if we had chosen other social or behavioral sciences, and potentially if we had even chosen harder science. Don't do that. Don't call it that. A natural science for a first look. Indeed, an essay of scientific status found in psychology to be more similar to biology than sociology. What? No, interesting. Not so sure about that. However, it's important to demonstrate that empirically, and we look forward to future research that tests these ideas in other disciplines. You can claim that something similar, that different scientific theories have completely different presumptions. I mean, that I think is fair. That's fair. But I'm trying to process what I'm thinking on this, to be honest. I feel like, although different scientific theories obviously do have different presumptions, I think that there's a little bit of a tendency to overestimate how different those assumptions really are a lot of the time, at least from what I've seen. Like, this is kind of, in a way, like, even though most people agreed that the social environment is important, they still are kind of implying that there was a big difference between different fields when it seems like there wasn't really. Like, there was a bit of a difference, but even the cognitive neuroscientists or whatever were still saying, like, yeah, social environment probably does something. So I think the way that this is kind of being framed, it's almost giving the vibe of like, yeah, man, there's giant differences between fields in psychology. I think that a lot of psychology is more similar than it is different, to be honest. Like, I don't think the divides are as deep as it's kind of being implied. And I think that's probably true for a lot of science. Like, it's quite I know that you do see theories that are like mutually incompatible, but normally there's at least a little bit of overlap, and normally there is a building evidence base that kind of like points to one direction, and then that's how you end up having like a paradigm shift, right? Is that like there's a threshold where there's enough evidence that somebody can piece together a new theory that seems to fit better, and then the paradigm shifts, roughly. I don't know. I still haven't read that Kuhn book. I still haven't read it. But yeah. I think that at any given moment in time, most of the theories are probably more similar than different, but that's just me entirely, like that's vibes based. That's vibes based. I have no evidence for that. Yeah, more difficult science. It's not even a more difficult science. Like, yeah, like, I don't know why the phrase hard science and soft science is like that, because it just kind of implies that it's, I don't know, it implies that like there's like some science that's harder, as in more difficult, and some science that's like soft and airy-fairy and not based in any actual empirical evidence, which isn't true. Like, it's all based in evidence. It's just using different types of evidence. How many researchers get to choose their own subfields versus being forced into a subfield based on available work? In other words, what you can get funded for? Honestly, yeah, that's another thing, right? Like, I did choose my own subfield, but I know quite a lot of people that have just taken like basically the PhD that they got offered because it was what they had funding for, and it wasn't necessarily their first choice, even in terms of field. So yeah. This whole stream is just you bullying the paper. I'm not bullying the paper. I'm just saying what the limitations are. Like, there's lots of good things about it. The fact it has such a massive sample size, like, massive credit to them for that. That's really, really cool. The fact that they linked up the survey responses and the bibliometrics, and they did, like, such a thorough job on the bibliometrics. Like, I'm not saying it's bad paper. I'm just saying that there's, like, aspects of the methodology that I would have done differently personally. But then it's easy for me to sit here and to go like, oh yeah, I would do this differently. Like, obviously I would do it differently. I'm reading it. I'm not actually out there doing it. Like, the fact that they've put together like data visualization platforms and everything for this is like really, really impressive. So I'm not trying to like downplay it. It's got into nature human behavior for a reason, I think. And it's the mixture of like the big sample size, which is super hard to do, especially in psychology, and especially when you're like researching other psychologists. People don't want to do your surveys, man. Like, it's so hard. I've tried to get them to do my surveys and they will not do my surveys. Like, fair play just for that alone. But yeah, they've done really thorough, like their stats seem fairly thorough. I haven't really dug into the stats too much, but the stats seem very thorough. They've shared everything openly. They've done a lot of things very, very right. And I think some of it is just they're working with the limitations that they have. Like, the thing about the bibliometrics, like doubling up certain people, genuinely, like, that, I don't think that there was, potentially they could have done something about it, but I think it would have been really, really difficult. Like, it's one of those things where it might have been like they spent all of that time, like, setting up code so that it automatically detects when somebody is like, moved institutions. Because like when it's got like 100,000 data points, you can't do that manually. It's impossible. So like they could spend all of this time like, classifying it with like a machine learning algorithm or something, and it's just not worth the payoff. So yeah, they sent out like 300,000 emails. Exactly. Like that in itself is a Herculean effort. Like, I would not bother, to be honest. The most that I've ever sent out was like, I think the most I've ever sent out was like 500, and I got bored. Like, I literally was just running mail merge automatically, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Because like, the sending it out is fine. The getting responses is the annoying bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, some people respond in really, really unhinged ways. It also implies physics is better. Yeah, and it's just wrong. How dare you? How dare you imply such a thing? Let me do your surveys. Please do my surveys. I'm literally so desperate. I actually don't have any open at the minute, saying that. I don't have any surveys open. I'm working on like an ethics review thing at the minute, like an ethics application. And then I will have a survey. We'll see how that goes. Okay. But yeah, they chose psychology because it's like fairly diverse as far as social and behavioral sciences go, which is fair enough. I stand by the decision to choose psychology. I think that was smart. Because psychology is very heterogeneous. Like, people think like, oh yeah, psychology, you do mental health stuff, and it's like, no, we do so much more than that. Like, that is a big part of it, don't get me wrong, but like, if you think that psychology is just mental health, like that's because that's what the public sees. Like, people if they're going out and about, like, and they're interacting with a psychologist, it's probably like either an educational psychologist in a school or a clinical psychologist, like, that they're getting therapy from or something, or an assessment. So like, obviously they would think, oh, so psychology means mental health, or like, you know, like developmental differences. And yeah, it's not true. We do so much more. And I think they've captured that fairly well in this, to be fair to them. So yeah. Yes, it's the opposite of homogenous. Exactly. Heterogeneous. Exactly. I think I said it wrong though, because I can't speak. I can't say words. I read the words and then I don't know how to say them. Yeah, there was a stream where I read a retracted paper. There was. I read it at first and I like, it was one of the first, I think it was actually the first paper that I ever read on stream. I was like, wow, look at how cool this paper is. It's a Nature paper. Isn't it exciting? And then like literally a week after I, you know, did the stream, it got retracted. And I had to do another stream talking about it being retracted, but I didn't get around to it for ages because I didn't realize. So that wasn't great. Yeah, exactly. The amount of psychology in like advertising, business, analysis, policy, etc. Like, yes, politics is a lot of psychology. Tech uses a lot of psychology. Like, A/B testing is fundamentally psychology. Like, they will make A/B testing decisions on the basis of psychological theory. So yeah, there's lots of psychology. It's everywhere. Everything is psychology all the way down. If it involves people, there's probably psychology. Had it get retracted, like by the authors or some authority? There's a few ways that papers can get retracted. One of them is, yeah, the paper gets retracted by the authors. So they find some kind of error in it and they're like, nah, man, like, we did a bad job on this, or like, we did something that wasn't up to scratch. We need to take this out of the scientific record. I think with that paper that we read, it was actually that there was an investigation. So there were like, you can have like fraud investigations at universities if they think that you might have been like manipulating your data. That wasn't the case with this one. With this one, it was like what we call data sleuths. So they're basically people that go through papers and look at the data and the results in really, really fine detail. And they work out where things don't match up. And sometimes if they think it's really badly mismatched, then they'll submit for a retraction. And sometimes the journals do it too themselves. In this case, it was the data sleuths informed the journal. The journal had a bit of back and forth with the authors, which is fairly standard. And then the journal made the decision to retract the article. But yeah, it's because it was a paper about pre-registering your analyses, and then they didn't actually follow their own pre-registration. And they made a bunch of really questionable analytic decisions. Which and then like they were like, oh, can we see your data then, please? And they were like, oh, sorry, we lost it. So it was like not great. Pre-register, yes, pre-register your analysis, as in the analysis that you are running. So pre-registering is a thing that scientists do. Yeah, sorry. It's my accent. I apologize. We're definitely not. No, we're not talking about. We're definitely not. Dog ate my homework. It does kind of give dog ate my homework vibe, doesn't it? It does. Okay. Most effect sizes reported here are small in size. This is something that I've been saying throughout the whole paper. They did acknowledge it. For instance, the correlations in figure 3C that pass the Bonferroni corrected threshold for significance range from 0.04 to 0.18. Some potential worries regarding these effect sizes are that, one, they could be random noise. Yes, very true. They could just be like random. They could be entirely random when they're that small. Only rendered significant due to the large sample size, even after applying Bonferroni corrections. And two, if real, these effect sizes are too small to be consequential. Regarding the first worry, we see our sample size and the corresponding breadth of research areas, topics, and methods illustrated as a major strength of our approach, and crucial for investigating diversions of thought across field as broad as psychology. We also address this, they've done like an appendix, but they assess the robustness of the results by repeatedly simulating a range of sample sizes from 300 to 3,000, rerunning benchmark analyses for each simulated sample size. Personally, I would have just run a replication. I'm not going to lie. I would have just run a replication. Yeah, I know. It's tiny. 0.04, it's teeny tiny correlation. I would have just run a replication. Let's see. Excuse me for a second. I have to mute myself for a second because I need to open the window. It's too loud. Too loud? It's too hot. Okay, there might be background noise now. If you can hear it, I am so sorry. It's literally like 35 degrees in here though. The atoms are wriggling too loudly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. In this context, what would a replication mean? It would mean rerunning the survey again with a different sample of psychologists. So for example, I don't know, just like collecting up the names of all of the just randomly selecting a whole bunch of psychology departments and then sending out the survey to their psychologists like that. Yeah, that would be something that I would do to check the results personally. I guess they were like, well, it's a big sample size, so we don't need to. But I think it would have been helpful, to be honest, because if those small if those small effect sizes, if those small effect sizes didn't replicate in a smaller sample, then it's like, okay, they're probably not like an actual effect then. So that would be that would be quite indicative, I think. But yeah. Regarding the second worry, so that is what's the second worry that they said about? The effect sizes, I can't even speak anymore. The effect sizes are too small to be consequential. We think it's important to calibrate of how large an effect size would be plausible for this phenomenon. Previously reported correlations between personality traits and the sort of theoretic commitments considered here range from 0.28 to 0.38. We consider this an upper estimate of plausibility, as that previous study examined fields from physics and mathematics to sociology and anthropology. To average psychologists would be much more likely to be similar in terms of theoretical commitments than an average physicist and sociologist. So effect sizes within a field should be smaller than the aforementioned effect sizes across a broad range of field. Yeah, to be fair, that's a good point. That is a very, very good point. If they replicated it with like a wider sample of not just psychologists, that would also start to answer some of the questions. But they didn't do that. And I would love to see that as a follow-up. It would be really cool to see that, to be honest. Let's see. Response rate in recruitment. A contribution of our study is that our findings are based on a large number of academics. That's very true. However, the sample size nevertheless reflects a low response rate. It's not surprising. They often have very low response rate, to be honest. It was sent out to 278,692 email addresses comprising authors who had published in psychology journals as recorded in the Web of Science. This includes people who may have retired, changed careers, as well as emails that are no longer active and had filtered their email programs and had filtered by their email programs. A review of surveys with similar methods reveals comparable response rates. So, for example, previous ones, they found 3 and 4% response rates. And also using Twitter accounts, they found a 2% response rate. And a related concern is whether our respondents are representative of academic psychologists. Our respondents represent a range of demographic characteristics, academic ranks, research topics, and methods. Second, we compared respondents with non-respondents using data available on Web of Science, which shows that the median first year of publication for respondents is 2009 versus 2008 for non-respondents. And the median most recent publication year is 2017 versus 2013, respectively. Okay. Respondents most recent publication year was median 2017 and non-respondents was 2013. That does suggest that, like, yeah, they are missing a lot of people that left academia, basically. But that's not necessarily a problem, I think. Like they have mostly captured active scientists, which is good. Overall, these comparisons suggest that our survey respondents are largely similar to non-respondents, but they publish more, especially in psychology, have published more recently, and are slightly more likely to be located in the USA. But they didn't mention anything about seniority. Am I missing something? They didn't mention anything about seniority, which was my biggest complaint about their sample, was that it was too senior. So I guess there you go. I've made an independent contribution to peer review today, I guess. I guess. I don't know. Can't believe England imperialism most of the world and doesn't even have aircon to show for it. It's really sad, isn't it? It's really sad. Just a bunch of spices they don't even know how to use. No! Don't attack me. It's currently 30 in here. Yeah, I don't actually know how big it is. I'm not gonna lie. How big it is. It's too hot. I'm not functioning anymore. Too spicy, that's the word. Wait, I need to, there we go. Okay. Selection on and measurement of cognitive traits. To keep the survey to a manageable size, our assessment of cognitive traits and dispositions was necessarily brief and selective. The measure used have high reliability across a whole bunch of different ways of assessing reliability. Like, that's fair enough. However, high reliability in either sense can coexist with lifespan malleability and context dependence. As with all retrospective question-based assessments, one must retain a degree of skepticism regarding people's ability to accurately self-report their traits. Yes, it's very true. Okay, so they've ticked off most of, like, they acknowledge most of the limitations that I noticed too, which is good. That's very good. But they did not say anything about the fact that their sample was skewed more senior. So that's weird. Yeah, that's weird. I guess if they were aiming for established researchers, it makes sense. It's not necessarily a limitation that they have established researchers, but I'm still thinking that, like, if they'd have aimed more at grad students as well, then they would have been able to get some really interesting, like, comparisons across, like, cohort comparisons almost. Like, it wouldn't be like a longitudinal cohort comparison, but they would be able to at least do some kind of cohort comparison. Thank you for the follow, Fertile and Flexible. What a name. Thank you, thank you. Welcome into the research participant pool. I think you'll be quite interesting to research with that name. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. I hope you're good. Is seniority stuff significant to the result? I think it could potentially affect it, particularly in terms of some of those, like, I think that from what I've seen, certain, for lack of a better word, certain controversial topics in psychology are, like, trendy at different times. I don't know if that makes sense. So, like, some like established researchers from one kind of period of time, when they did their PhD during, like, the 80s, for example, they'll be like, this thing is really important. This is, like, the main thing that we argue over. And then people that did their PhDs in the early 2000s will be like, no, we argue over this instead. And then people that have done their PhDs, like, recently will be like, no, this is what we argue over instead. But, like, by and large, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've never really argued. Like, I've never had academic beef with anybody. And I've never seen anybody, like, who's a grad student have that kind of academic beef with anybody. So I feel like these kinds of controversial topics, opinions, is probably something that establishes over the course of a career to some extent. But I'm also, I don't know. I also feel like it would have made it easier to make some kind of, like, causality claim of, like, if you see the same level of cognitive traits leading people into certain fields as grad students, and then you see them also established later on, like, that kind, like, if it's the trait that stays consistent rather than the field, that would tell you something, I think. But they didn't really look into that. Little thought in the back of my head, they didn't think about the junior scientists as maybe the authors are senior scientists and the reviewers were senior scientists, and they just glossed over it. I don't think that they are, though. I'm pretty sure that, like, I had a quick look at I'm a bit creepy, so I always look at, like, the author's profiles and stuff, and I think the lead author is actually relatively junior in the grand scheme of things. So I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. I think it's just the way that they chose to capture scientists. They just didn't capture grad students that way. Yeah. But yeah. Let's see what their final conclusion is, actually. Let's see what their final conclusion is. Let's have a look. That's all I hate nature so much. Why did they do this? Conclusions. Yeah. Our findings support the idea that science is a human enterprise, and understanding the development of scientific knowledge depends on an account of the thought processes of humans. Our research provides evidence for a pluralistic view of what constitutes an explanation and what makes explanations satisfying, persuasive, and ultimately motivating for the community of scientists. Variation in cognitive traits is associated with variation in perspectives on controversial topics, and in turn, positions on controversial topics are associated with how likely it is that for people to cite similar literatures and ultimately write similar articles. This means that, see, I'm being nitpicky, but it low-key, like, they're doing that thing where it's like they're not saying that there's causality, but the ordering of their sentence implies it, and that annoys me. This also means that divisions in perspective run deep and pose a fundamental challenge for interdisciplinary research between communities with distinct epistemic commitments and composed of individuals with different cognitive profiles. There you go. That's their conclusion. Like I said, small effect sizes, lack of causality. I'm not sure that they can make that conclusion yet. But maybe with a bit of future research, you never know. Yeah. Okay. Paper. This was the paper. There you go. The link is also up there. Let me put this away now. Oh. Hello. I'm a person. I'm a person, I swear. I'm not gonna lie. I am getting kind of tired. We finished the paper though, so that's cool. She's being threatening. I am indeed. You want me to be threatening? I'm not really that threatening, am I actually? I don't know what was so threatening about that. Thank you for the hydrate, Torgamus. I have actually run out of water. I'm not gonna lie, but I will have a big drink. I will do lots of the water drink. They are here. The aliens are here. I can wink now. Yeah. Oh wait, that didn't work. Yeah. I don't know why I'm so excited about this. This is very fun. Okay. So, where are we? What are we doing? I'm confused. Did you say someone is called Fertile and Flexible? Yes, that was the name of somebody that followed us 6 minutes ago. Hello, Fertile and Flexible. Incredible name. Yes, I was about to drink, but I've run out of water. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's for my evolutionary psych homies. They send their regards. My mortal enemies. I'm a social psychologist. They're my mortal enemies. I'm not gonna lie. My mortal enemies. I will fight them. I will fight them to the death. No, I won't actually, because they'd probably win. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of the people that I've met that are evolutionary psychologists, they're either like, you know, like, how can I say this politely? They're either like, I'm not gonna say it politely because there's no way to describe it politely. They're either like scrawny nerds or they are like the buffest dudes. There is no in between, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Why are so many of them buff dudes? What is up with that? Why are they all here? Why are they going to the gym? It's clearly it's to you know, optimize their mate preferences or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the thinking is there, to be honest. I really don't know. I don't know what's the thinking. I have no idea. I have no idea. Survival of the fittest psychologist. I would die. I would be just gone. I would be gone. Like, I would lose. There's no hope for me. Oh dear. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm a frail Victorian child. I would just like, it would be terrible. It would be terrible. I would just explode. Some people prefer scrawny nerds, me. It is time to fight the scrawny nerds. We are ready to fight them. We're ready to fight them. I'm personally gonna fight every single evolutionary psychologist. This is my new challenge. They can meet me in the Super Value car park. I will personally fight every single evolutionary psychologist that is willing to take me on. Oh no. That would be an experience. That would be an experience. What if we all just like started fighting each other? Like what if academic, like what if these controversial themes, these academic controversial themes, we turn them into actual like fighting contests? Are any of them magical girls? That's a great question. I think there should be at least one evolutionary psychologist magical girl, and she can be my mortal enemy. I will fight her. Stab them with your Psydere. I don't have a Psydere. What can I do? Like headbutt them? That would be a very British thing to do, actually, would be to headbutt them and then hope that the Psy does something. Just use it as a... I can take it off and use it like knuckle dusters, perhaps. I don't know. This is getting very violent and I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. The sports physio people would win. It's so true. The sports psychologists, they are built different. The sports psychologists are built different. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, they really, really are. They really, really are. There's a few I would call dibs on. I will get to them first. We can tag team them. We will both fight them at the same time. 2v1 is fair if they're an evolutionary psychologist because survival of the fittest, right? Ring fit. Ring fit for funding grant. Oh, ring fit also for funding grants would also be very funny. Ring fight for funding grants would also be very funny. I would be in favor of this, actually. I would be in favor of this. Science by combat. Good lord, it's getting too violent. It's the heat. Probably. Double blind trial by combat. Oh no. Can you imagine? I suffer. Takeshi's funding castle? No, I can't do this. That would be very funny though. Imagine if they actually managed to get it like science themed as well. That would be incredible. Like I think that this would be wait, actually no, hang on, let's have a think. What kind of like obstacles could you actually put that would make it science themed? I feel like you could have a giant, like, I don't know if you know what I mean, but like I've been to water parks where they have like an inflatable ball and then it's got water, like it's normally got a fountain at the top and you have to try and climb up it with like a rope, right? And obviously it's like really slippery, so you just fall off it. I feel like one of those, like in the theme of a brain, that would work really, really well. I think that would be cool. Double slit experiment. What do you mean? You need to... Oh, the contestants passing through the trial have to interfere with each other. That's brilliant. I think that's perfect. Very Havoc and let's let Pavlov's dogs of war. No. Oh no, can you imagine if you did like a Takeshi's Castle thing and it was like a challenge where like you had to navigate, maybe like you had to like how can you have to like not trigger the bell? I think that would be a thing, like almost like the floor is lava, except the floor is like it rings a bell and if you step on it then it gets Pavlov's dogs all dribbling and then you drown. No, maybe that's too aggressive, actually. Maybe that's too aggressive. All the obstacles are physics themed by the nature of existing. That's very true, actually. That is very true. But I mean, like, put a spin on them so that like like they have a fun, like, you know, they have like a cute little theming going on. Like they're physics themed in the sense of like you have to be able to navigate physics. But they are not physics themed in the sense of like, you know, they look like science things. That's more what I was thinking. Like, how can we how can we make it so that Takeshi's Castle activities look more sciencey? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it would be possible, but I don't know how to do it. But I want to do it. I want to make it happen. I want to make it happen. I feel like it would be so funny. Literally just a centrifuge, but people. Isn't that just a like a fairground ride though? I feel like that's a type of fairground ride. And I feel like they're also very distressing. I think I've been on one before. Didn't they ban them because like people kept dying or something? I don't even know. I don't even know. There was a game show on Nickelodeon that's starting to track this. Wait, really? Really? Is this a thing? If that's a thing, that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy. Oh, no. Dress up everyone as a mouse and put them in a maze. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. I love that. That's such a good idea. Oh, no. Oh, can you imagine? It was like a puzzle, like an educational game show where they had to do puzzles in a hidden temple. Wait, what? No way. That sounds like, there's like a British game show called The Crystal Maze, right? And I don't know if this was ever taken anywhere else. It probably was. But like the Crystal Maze, it was themed. So you would have to do puzzles in exactly that way. Some of them were like mental puzzles, like you'd have to like logic them. Some of them were like, what's the word? Some of them were like physical puzzles. So you'd have to like, you know, be nimble and jump over things. You'd have to jump over things and work your way around mazes and stuff like that. I think there was other ones too. There was like skill-based ones and stuff, like dexterity and things like that. But like basically there were different themed areas, and in each themed area you would have like, to be honest, pretty much the same puzzles, but just like with a different vibe to them. So I remember there was one that was jungle. There was like a jungle. So yeah, it was like hidden temple in the jungle themed. There was another one that was like sci-fi themed. You were on a space station. It was very cool. That was my favorite one, obviously. There was also like medieval English castle. Incredible. I feel like there was another one, but I forgot what it was. I think there might have been another one, but it was clearly my least favorite because I don't remember. And then there was like the thing at the end where you would have to like basically as you win each of the puzzles, you would go like you go through, and each time you successfully cleared a puzzle, you would get a crystal. If you failed it, then you would have to like you would basically get locked into the puzzle, and they would have to either use the crystals to free you, or they could take them to the end and then use it to get extra time on the final thing, which was just jumping around and trying to grab a whole bunch of like flying leaflets, basically. It was very, very cool. It was very, very cool. It was my favorite one. I had exactly like 2 obsessions when I was like a kid. No, I had 3. I had 3 like TV obsessions when I was a kid, like really, really young. One of them was the Crystal Maze. One of them was Robot Wars. And one of them was like Futurama, which was not age appropriate. Not age appropriate whatsoever. Apparently there was an American version back in 2020, but it only had 1 season. That's so disappointing. That's so disappointing. I went on the human centrifuge last year, so it's still allowed in America. I feel like it's been banned in Europe. I've not seen one in so long. I feel like there was like an incident where it just spun off. Like it, you know, like the classic centrifuge accident where like it's not attached properly, and then it like, or like it's unbalanced and then it just disconnects itself. That happened, but with a fairground ride. It was horrible. I'm laughing, but it was actually really horrible. It's just, I don't know, I just find it mildly amusing that it was like basically a classic centrifuge accident. So bad. Crystal Maze sounds really close to the Nickelodeon one. Methinks they just copied the form. Yeah, they could well have done. I think they have a tendency to like copy things between different countries and then steal the name. I know that there's definitely some kind of British like I feel like there might be a British talent. No, wait, no. There's some kind of like British talent show or something, or like a reality show or something where Americans stole it and changed the name of it again. It's exactly the same thing. Anyone know or remember Fort Boyard? No. I refuse to acknowledge Fort Boyard. I refuse to acknowledge Fort Boyard. I refuse. I only acknowledge the British one, thank you very much. We don't acknowledge any French productions in this chat. I actually would love to go to Fort Boyard. Husbando showed me it. And then at one point we were in France and then there was like Fort Boyard on the TV and we were like, it's Fort Boyard! It's the thing! It was very fun. Robot Wars, let's go, yeah! I was a big Robot Wars fan. I almost chose my high school because of the fact that they had a I was looking at different high schools and one of them had like a Robot Wars, like an internal Robot Wars tournament, and I almost chose it just purely based on that. But then I never actually ended up going there, so I didn't get to do any of the Robot Wars, which is quite sad. Rip. I was Robot Warsless. So sad. So sad. Robot Wars is great. I love homemade rumors fighting to death. Exactly, right? What was your favorite robots? I was always a big Matilda enjoyer. I was a very big Matilda enjoyer. I liked Matilda. Thank you for the follow, Lazarladite. Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. You've just signed the consent form, so now you have to take part in my research. I hope you're ready. I swear it's ethical. I swear it's ethical. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. But yeah. They've also redone Junkyard Wars. What's Junkyard Wars? I don't know what that one is. What's Junkyard Wars? Is that like Robot Wars but scrappy? What is it? Junkyard Wars. Oh, they just build stuff? Oh, that's so cool. They just build stuff out of scrap. That's so cool. I never saw that when I was a kid. If I'd have watched that, I would have been obsessed with it. I would have been absolutely obsessed with it. The centrifuge thing sounds terrifying. Yeah, it was terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. When I read that news article, I was like, oh no. Oh no, somebody should have had, you know, balancing weight training. That's terrible. I thought it was that the centrifuge is set to too high a speed and the people in it get mixed into a homogeneous paste. I mean, I wouldn't put it past it, to be honest. That could probably happen. That could probably happen. If you go fast enough, you'd have to go really, really fast. But it could possibly happen. I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a physicist. I don't even use a centrifuge. I don't even know what a centrifuge is, frankly. Oh, they just give two teams a junkyard and then they just go at it. And then they have like mechanics versus robot scientists. And the team had people who knew what they were doing and came up with wild things. That's so cool. I love that so much. I love that so much. That's so cool. I would be obsessed with that. I think I did a similar thing like as a kid. Like we would do like scrap, but it wouldn't be like junkyard, obviously, because that's like a health and safety risk to a small child that can barely function or walk straight. But we do it with like, you know, like crafting materials, if that makes sense. Like we would just find random stuff and see what we could make out of it. It was very fun. It was very fun. I should do that more. I don't remember my favorite robot, or even if I had one. I haven't figured out I was supposed to pick one to root for yet. That's fair enough. I think I was just weird. I think it was Matilda that I was obsessed with. Was it Matilda? Let me check. If I remember correctly, I think it was Matilda, who kind of looked like a beetle. Let me check. Matilda, no, not the film, not the musical. Robot Wars. Yeah, it was Matilda. She looked like a spiky like rhinoceros beetle, basically. She looked like a beetle. She was spiky. She could flip things over. And I thought she was like really weirdly cute because her eyes glowed. And I was like, that's a vibe. I love that. She had a spinny thing on her butt as well. She was very cute. I loved her. And I was always rooting for her. But then like she kept getting set on fire, if I remember correctly. So yeah. I remember enjoying it as a kid. Don't remember much of it. Yeah. I think that's most people's relationship with Robot Wars, I think. I was like obsessed with it though. I had a problem. First week of my engineering undergrad orientation, we had a contest building a catapult to throw tennis balls, junkyard wars style. They brought in the junk, and one of the team's catapult kept throwing the balls backwards. We changed it at them to turn their catapult around. Oh, chanted at them to turn their catapult around. That's so funny. I love that so much. That is so funny. I mean, look, if it works, it works. Sometimes it just it doesn't go quite according to spec. You just got to adapt, improvise, overcome. That's my thinking. That's my thinking. I reckon you just got to adapt, improvise, overcome. Oh, man. Adapt, improvise, overcome. Why do I find this so funny? I shouldn't find this so funny. Oh no. Isn't that just engineering in a nutshell? Adapt, improvise, overcome. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I'm a scientist. So that means I'm meant to do the opposite of adapt, improvise, overcome. I'm meant to I'm meant to predict and falsify or something. I don't even know anymore, man. I don't even know. I don't even know. Hi, Just Jade. Hi. There's also a measure of tears and sweat in there. That's so valid. That's so valid. That's the thing that science and engineering has in common. We all suffer together. We are all in pain. We struggle. The struggle is like universal and real. I'm not gonna lie though, we do also use a lot of the same like materials and stuff, right? So yeah. Like even in terms of like a lot of like I use a lot of like software development stuff. Like I use Git to like version control my code, guys. I'm basically an engineer. I sucked at mechanical things. I brought a PVC pipe to make into a mechanical arm, but I couldn't cut it properly. So in the end, I just used a cut up cereal box. That's valid. Adapt, improvise, overcome. That's exactly what I mean. That's like the core of engineering, right? Pain. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Husmod. Oh dear. I still have the pipe to remind me of my failure. I love that. It's like a trophy. A motivational trophy. Spider-Man pointing meme. It's so true. literally just Spider-Man pointing. Oh no. I don't have a big brain job. I just build electrical systems, but I love it so much. That is a big brain job. You have to be smart to be able to do that and not like die. Like, come on. That's like the key job that requires like actual paying attention and being smart and knowing what you're doing. If I do something wrong in my job, the worst that happens is like maybe I'll get told off. Like genuinely, that's it. Whereas like if you do something wrong, you literally die. I can't be trusted with stuff like that. I accidentally gassed out an entire lab with chlorine gas once. Like I can't be trusted with things that are dangerous. Makes me happy when Psy talks about API and Git. I know things, I swear. I know things. I know things, I swear. I'm not gonna lie, a little while back I actually was on well, I'm still doing it. It's like a continuing project. I'm on a project with a whole bunch of like senior engineers, like senior software engineers. And like, I went into it telling them like, I know nothing about any of this stuff. I know nothing. Don't expect anything from me. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I was like, oh, look, I can do a little bit of the web dev. Oh, look, I know how to version control in Git. Yes, I know how to use GitHub issues and pull requests, and I can even do reviews. I'm even going to throw in an LGTM. And then they were like, you said you didn't know anything. What is this? Why did you lie to us? And I was like, I don't actually know anything. I just have picked up a few things, I swear. I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't listen to me. I don't even know what things are. I barely know anything. I found a playlist of Junkyard Wars and Scrap Heap, British version, and sent it to you. Thank you, Bobo. Oh, I've found new evening watching. This is very exciting. This is very, very exciting. Oh no, I'm hyped. I'm hyped. You did what now? You know what I did. I gassed out a lab with chlorine gas, okay? Don't bully me. Don't bully me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I caused problems. I broke things. I broke things. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Adler, hi! Hi, Adler. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the follow. Hi, how are you? How are you? I hope you're good. Adler is also a psychologist. Yes. It makes me very happy. I'm collecting them. I'm collecting the psychologist VTubers. No, nobody's ready for what I'm collecting. Oh gosh. I gave up on designing things that actually exist. I go for electrical programming. That's so valid. That's so valid. I mean, they do exist. They just exist in the digital/electrical world. Like, that still counts. Building electrical systems is probably up there for how immediate negative feedback is. Exactly, right? If you know straight away if you've done something wrong, because like you literally feel it. You literally feel it. You literally feel it in so many ways. Oh gosh. It's yeah, no. It's painful. It's painful. I feel like you're about to casually drop that you write your Python in Vim. I do not actually, although I do know what Vim is. I do know what Vim is. I do not casually write my Python code in Vim. I don't use Python actually. Well, not much. I use it a little bit, but not loads, to be honest. Yeah. I don't use it very much. Vim scares me. I would never touch it. I do use Linux on my work laptop though. That I will admit to. I do use Linux on my work laptop. I will admit to that one. Yes. Hello, someone mentioned a fellow worker in the mental health field. Yeah, let's go. Psychology and psychology adjacent VTubers rise up. There's actually so many of us. It's like really surprising. Like, there's more people like doing like clinical and things like that instead of, research. But the fact that there's so many is like really, really cool. It makes me really happy. Yeah. And there are still quite a few like research psychologists out there as well. Obviously there's me. There's Mylin. There's Rye or Die who dropped in earlier. So yeah, like even like with the research psychologists, like there's quite a few VTubers representing, It's very cool. It makes me happy. Makes me happy. Yeah. How long until the most ambitious psychologist VTuber crossover event in cinematic history? Don't tempt me. I will actually make it happen. I will do it. I will not be stopped. I can't be stopped. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. Arc flash hazards are a thing in electrical construction. Luckily, I've never seen an arc flash in real life. Yeah, see, I know. I've heard a story of that happening with like high voltage overhead cables. And apparently it was genuinely traumatic for everybody to observe. So yeah. After I heard that story, I was like, I'm never going into that field. No, thank you. Not interested. Not interested in seeing something like that. That's horrible. That's horrible and scary, and I do not like it. Makes sense when you think about it, though. The field is filled with notions of social observation, and the aspects of parasocialism is a rife new area of research. It's very, very true. It's very, very true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like the interests definitely overlap. I feel like also, like, I don't know. I feel like people that are able to manage being a VTuber alongside full-time work, they're probably, like, pretty well organized and stuff like that. So I think that just like being a VTuber and sticking with it and streaming regularly probably just shares a lot of the same qualities that you need as being a grad student, or like even just being like a psychology professional in any way. like, you need to be organized. You need to be able to like market yourself well. You need to be consistent. You need to stick at something, even if it doesn't really give you much monetary rewards. That's definitely something psychologists know all about, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of overlap before or after the before or after the karaoke stream. It's on my list of things to do. I do need to do that karaoke stream. I'm not gonna lie. I do need to do that. It's getting a bit silly, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I need to do that. It's been on. Wait, I think there's like an entire list of stuff that I technically still haven't done, actually. Let me check real quick. Let me check. There's like a bunch of stuff from even from the charity event that I still haven't done. Let me see. Where's my little thingy saying all? The problem is that I normally just refer back to like what I've been tweeting, and I've been like doing such a social media push in preparation for the 2.0 debut that like I can't even find stuff anymore. That's September, so that's before. Let's see. Definitely qualified. When was that from? Okay, that was from the ASMR that I had to do. So it was before this. Where was this list of goals? Did I ever tweet it, or did I just not show? Oh, there it is. Okay, donation goals. Duolingo, we did that one. Catgirl mode for the whole stream, we did that one. Attempt an A-level psychology paper, I still need to do that. We debuted the maid outfit. We did the declaration of Helsinki ASMR. I haven't done the say arrow nonstop for 15 minutes. I do need to do that. Okay. So we need to do an A-level psychology paper on stream, which is an idea that I have yoinked and twisted from Rin Penrose. Credit where credit is due. I am stealing. I feel like I might struggle with it. I'm not gonna lie. Like A-level papers are difficult. Like they're not easy. They're not easy. They're not easy, man. But I would do it. I would do it. It would be funny. It would be funny. And I do also have a karaoke stream, but I can't remember why. I can't remember what was the context. Oh, it was for 1K followers, wasn't it? Okay, yeah. I need to do that too. I should do that. I should do that. There's like, I've got like a backlog of things that I'm like putting off because they're embarrassing. Oh no. I saw a metal refinery catastrophically fail. The electricals just became rockets. That's wild. That kind of sounds cool though, but also terrifying, but also cool. So it can be both, right? It can be both. The biggest accident that's happened at my work while I was working there was a nice explosion that caused what looked like bullet holes in the walls. No one was harmed. Technically speaking, not my fault. What do you mean, technically speaking, it wasn't your fault? That's a very suspicious statement to make. I'm suspicious of you now. I'm suspicious. Oh, it took out the block. Goodness gracious. That's terrifying. Yeah, the metal refinery taking out an entire block is terrifying. If a block is as big as I understand it to be. I don't think I had the chance to tell you about one of the most interesting individuals that I met during my undergrad. Individual had Broca's aphasia and could only say 3 words. Yes, no, frick. Yeah, no, I mean, that must be horrible for them, but that must have been super, super interesting from like a case study perspective. Yeah, I've never really worked with anybody with Broca's aphasia, to be honest. I had a phase where I did a lot of work with people living with dementia, and that was interesting in terms of seeing like personality changes over time. Like, yeah, that was interesting. I'm not gonna lie. So, yeah, but I never got the chance to work with anybody with like a traumatic brain injury or something like that. So, yeah, sounds really interesting. Hi, Jeb Kerman. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for signing the informed consent form. It is time to take part in some research. Thank you so much for the follow. Good thing I only do with low voltage. The biggest accident I've had is overvolting and destroying one component and accidentally touching 240 volts. See, I don't... Oh, my fingertips definitely felt the amps. Oh my goodness. I was not allowed to do dangerous things because I am a menace and a threat to society. And if I do dangerous things, I will just break things. So yeah, you're braver than me. You're braver than me. Okay. I'm too dangerous. I can't be trusted. I can't be trusted. Pain. Nothing but pain. Oh dear. Don't worry, voltage doesn't kill you, amps does. Yeah, exactly. It's fine. It's fine. What's the worst that could happen? You're just tingling a bit. It's heartbreaking to see someone with broker's aphasia. You can say they understand what you're saying, but they want to say what comes to their mind, but they just can't bring the words to the surface of their mind. It's heartbreaking. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Even though I sound like pretty verbally fluent now, it's because I've been training. When I first started streaming, I really, really struggled with my verbal fluency. So I kind of feel that. And I still do it sometimes. Like, probably, like, people, you know, those of you who have been watching for a while, you've probably noticed this. Like, I will have times where I just cannot find the word. So I tend to just default to the same, like I think I speak pretty simply in the grand scheme of things. And it's because I struggle to find words. Like I'm very good at reading and I'm like listening, and I'm very, very bad at, you know, producing. I'm good at writing, but I'm very, very bad at like speaking. So yeah, I kind of feel it. Like it must be even worse. Yeah. I'm a software developer and someone, not me, had disabled a safety feature in the software, but while we didn't want to create that big of an explosion, so we did want to destroy that machine because we were looking for why the safety feature wasn't working. I see. I feel like we should probably be not disabling the safety features. That seems not ideal, in all honesty. Not gonna lie. Doesn't seem ideal. Could probably be better to maintain that. Hi, Kat. Welcome back. Welcome back. I have autism and ADHD, and it's actually fairly common that we're better writers than speakers. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, no, I'm much better as a writer. It's the autism for me. I'm not ADHD, but I'm autistic. And yeah, I'm so much better at writing and reading than I am at speaking and listening, like to a noticeable degree. It's kind of funny. Like, well, it's funny. Funny, not like ha ha funny. Funny like, oh, funny. Like, funny like, I see funny. Funny like, I suffer funny. Oh dear. I have autism and ADHD. Oh, wait. It allows us to engage in a far more linear form of conversation. There's actually a research article that I have on my old laptop. I would love to read that. Please send me it. I love those kinds of papers. It's super, super interesting. Yeah. Very cool read. I would love to read it. I love to read it. I've noticed certain verbal tics from editing my videos, like a pacing. Yeah, I have the same thing. I just like have really random pauses in the middle of my sentences and I don't know why. It just like, I just am talking normally and then I just stop in the middle of the sentence, like kind of like that. And it's not very good for editing. I think it's because my mouth moves faster than well, no, actually, my thoughts go fast. I talk fast. The two things don't connect always, though. There's sometimes a bit of crossing of the wires in a way that is not ideal. So, yeah. It do be like that, unfortunately. Yeah, we could read it on stream if the permissions are right. It has to have the right license. That's the only thing. Like, it has to have a certain license so that I can read it on stream. So it'd have to be an open license like CC BY. If it's CC BY NC, like the non-commercial one, then I can't read it. Unfortunately, I can't read it on stream. Yeah. Sag. But yeah. Copyright do be like that, unfortunately. laptop's been through hell. That's a mood. That's a mood. Sentence buffering. It does feel like it. It does feel like it. I've noticed the cadence of my voice is all over the place. I think it's probably something similar with me. Like, I just have no idea what's happening. I have no idea what's happening. Yeah. You just, oh wait. You just modeled what I've been cutting out of the videos. What the pauses. Yeah, I have to do the same. It's especially annoying with the like long form videos. With the shorts, I feel like it's kind of okay. I can kind of make it work because like normally it's well, actually, I feel like it's been worse in the past. As I've been streaming more, this is actually something that I've been doing less, which is really interesting. But I do still talk at really weird pacing. Like, sometimes I'll talk really, really quickly, and then suddenly I'll talk really, really slowly, and the tempo will just change for literally no reason, and I don't know why. And there's random gaps in the middle of things, and I'm trying to work out, like, what's going on here? Confusion. But it's fairly easy to edit out of shorts. The other thing is that I just repeat myself sometimes. Like, I don't know. I've literally just done it there, actually. When I sit there and I go, it's. Like, I have to say it like 3 times for it to feel right. It has to feel right. I have to keep saying it until it's got a good squishy texture around it. It has to fit the right vibe. Yes, yes. Oh dear. I like writing because it takes slightly longer to respond and it isn't weird. See, this is the thing though, is that when I'm writing, I take too long to respond. I take too long. It's so bad. Like I have this problem actually when I'm in other people's Twitch chats. A lot of the time I just lurk because I am so slow to type anything out that by the time I get around to typing it, I the conversation's moved on. Like, I can't think fast enough if I'm listening. So I think that my strengths definitely lie in being as a streamer rather than a watcher, rather than a viewer. Like, I'm a terrible stream viewer. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I still remember when I took it as a carry-on in a bag at a conference and I was getting to present at and the bag fell from the overhead. No, no, that's like my worst nightmare. Yeah, that's my worst nightmare. I repeat what other people say to understand it. What other people say to understand it, and it weirds people out. Why? I thought that's a pretty normal thing to do, is it not? See, that's really interesting because when I was taught like active listening when I was going through my psychology listening training, and yeah, I was told that people like it when you do that. Like, if you're not certain of something, repeat back what they've said, like, kind of slightly in your own words, and then be like, oh, do you mean this? And then they'll be like, yeah. And it makes them feel like you're listening really closely to them. Whereas, like, I don't know. It's interesting that people find that weird. Oh, if you do it like 5 times in a row, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. I have that too, though, because I can't hear people over background noise. And like, I'm not gonna lie, background noise plus Irish accent, literally the worst thing to ever happen. Like, if somebody's got a really thick Irish accent and they're also there's also background noise, nah. I can't hear them. It's not happening. I can't process it. And because they talk really quickly and they've got a thick accent. Like, altogether, it's just distressing. The texture of words, it has to have the right texture. It has to feel right. Yeah. I like to think of it as my brain being a skipped record, playing that one moment until I realize I have to fix it. That's also kind of a mood, though. That's kind of a mood. I'm so recognizing the whole it has to have the right texture and I repeat myself. Right! I'm telling you, this is a thing. It needs to feel right. Okay. Also, the other thing, when I was a kid, this is like, okay, actually, this is disclosing something kind of personal, but I also think this is kind of funny because I didn't actually have it in the end, right? When I was a kid, I got misdiagnosed as having OCD because I wanted to keep washing my hands. And they were like, oh, you're doing that because like you have some kind of like cognitive motive, like you feel anxiety and you feel like you need to do a ritual to relieve the anxiety. And I was like, no, it just feels nice. And they were like, no, there's a reason why you're doing it. There's a reason why you're doing it. And it's because you're anxious about contamination. And that's why you keep washing your hands. I was like, no, I don't care about contamination. It's just I like the feeling of my hands being wet. And if they feel too dry, I have to go and wash them. And they were like, anyway, you have OCD. That wasn't OCD. Like I was literally missing I was missing the O. Like, well, actually, no, I guess the obsession was the feeling of water on my hands. But like, you know, in the OCD sense, I was missing it. So yeah. The hand washing thing is actually mentioned in one of the sensory station activities mentioned in one of my books I use for clients. That's so interesting. See, I think the thing is though, is that when I was a kid, like, this was like in the early 2000s, as in like 00s, right? And I was a little girl. And they were still trying to process the fact that like girls could be autistic too, which I think, in all honesty, didn't really become properly widely accepted until closer to the 2010s. Like, it was definitely not widely accepted when I was at school. So, or maybe it was just the area that I grew up in. I don't know. But like, I really couldn't, like, yeah, I had all of the obvious signs and didn't get a diagnosis until I was at uni. So make of that what you will. Like when I eventually got my diagnosis, the psychologist was like, it's so obvious. I can't believe that they didn't detect this. I can't believe that they didn't see it. Yeah. Hi Woodsticks, hi, how are you doing? I hope you're good. I lurk in varying amounts depending on how much I've been expending my social battery. Chatting feels social, and sometimes I've just had too many meetups or meetings. That's such a mood. That's such a mood too. I vibe with that. I feel you. You've been social lately. Let's go. Also, hi Flatulence and Garnet. Hi. There's a reason for it. It feels nice. Automatically maintain sensory, maintain behavior. Genuinely, actually. Genuinely, that is it for me. Yeah. Hand washing. Oh wait, I read that already. I like to write over talking, but I'm a slow writer. So on places like here, I do want to talk in order to be able to keep up. But I like emails because it lacks that pressure. I hate emails because like the number of notifications stacking, that's like my prime stress. I'm not going to lie. Like, that is the prime stress that I ever have. I hate it so much. I really hate it. But yeah, I get you though. I prefer messaging for the same reason. But yeah, chat goes too quickly. It just goes too quickly. I've had 2 friends get diagnosed when they were over 40. I think it's becoming more common, right? It's becoming more common for people to be able to get a diagnosis as an adult. So yeah, adds up. Hi, Pepsi Man Drifter. Hi. How are you? I hope you're good. What's the subfield? My subfield is social psychology. But the subfields that this paper was looking at was like subfields in psychology generally. So it was like social or cognitive or neuroscience or clinical, stuff like that. So yeah, the various different strains of psychology. It was looking at how people's cognitive traits might correlate with the field that they end up in. And overall, the effect sizes were very, very small. And it seems like not really, but they argued that it kind of did. So yeah. Yeah. I grew up in the rural areas of the South. Getting diagnosed correctly was literally a small miracle. Yeah. See, in theory, I grew up in somewhere that should have had good access to services, but it just didn't. So make that make sense. just so I can know what time tomorrow, what time are you going to start streaming? I don't know. So I do guerrilla streaming. I don't actually have a schedule. I just kind of turn up because I do this around my full-time job. I am an actual scientist in real life. Like my job, I have a 9-to-5 job where I do science. Like I research as a job. So I just do the streams around when I'm free and available. I think I might have some other stuff to do tomorrow. I'm not gonna lie. But like obviously if you're following and you've got the notification on, hopefully you'll see when I'm live. And I do these science streams about once a week, roughly, sometimes once every 2 weeks. Just kind of depends on how I feel. Yeah, science is too chaotic to be able to stream regularly, unfortunately. So yeah. I'm at the point where my only defense mechanism is thinking of unread emails as a high score. That's so funny. I love that. Okay, so with that, I think it is probably about time to wrap up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm quite tired. Thank you, Husmod, for the raid message thingy. We have raid message 1 as well. So the first one is if you're a sub, and the second one is if you are not a sub. And we are gonna go and say hello today to Ellie Minibot. We're going to go say hi to Ellie. She's doing a sponsored stream, so we need to be extra nice to her because she doesn't do them very often, and it's a big deal for her. So we need to go say hi and be nice. We need to go be nice. She's rating Zillow. She's looking at people's Zillows. Oh, wait, no, hang on. She's playing Redacted, sorry. A game of training art giveaway by Ludio. Let's go. She's doing a Redacted game. I don't know what that is. We will find out. Let's do it. Let's do it. But yeah, raid messages up there. When I find her, where is she? Hello? There she is, right at the bottom because she's only just started. And yeah, we're going to go say hi to Ellie. Please be nice to her. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining me today. Yeah, I really enjoyed the paper, actually. It was fun, kind of like ripping it apart in a friendly way. Really enjoyed reading this one. That's why I actually finished it all the way through. Like we did the results and stuff. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining me. Don't know when the next stream will be. It will be whenever I feel like it. Don't know when. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, hopefully I'll see some of you at the next one. Probably I might do another art stream at some point. Might do some, I want to finish unpacking. We need to finish unpacking. We should do that sometime soon. But yeah, don't know when they will be, as always. Follow if you haven't already, do the notifications, etc., etc., and we will exist together in the sciencey realm and stuff. Yeah. I've got nothing else. I'm between now and heat death, exactly. I am going to die of heat death because it is so hot in here. I am struggling. I'm going to drink a lot of water. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you next time, hopefully. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me. Have fun with Ellie.